Chapter 1480. Genius 1 second. Remember if you want to go. TalkNet, providing you with exciting novels to read. Even though Providence wants to get rid of me, this otherworldly demon, and raised the power of its rank 7 heavenly tribulation to the limit, it is still unable to do anything to me. Love Go Small. TalkNet. It was not hard for Fang Yuan to pass this tribulation. For this tribulation, he had made ample preparations, but he did not use most of his trump cards. Ying Wuxie and the rest could be said to have watched Fang Yuan's individual battle prowess. They were filled with shock and envy towards the sovereign immortal aperture. Rank 7 GU immortals had to go through 24 earthly calamities, 3 heavenly tribulations, and 3 grand tribulations. Fang Yuan patiently waited until the 5 poisonous beasts were at their strongest before undergoing tribulation, to probe the greatest power of the heavenly tribulation. Rank 7 heavenly tribulations no longer posed any threat to him. Earthly calamities were even more impossible. Only the grand tribulations were unknown. Fang Yuan was not clear about the power of the grand tribulations. Because he did not pass them. His rank 7 cultivation level was mostly obtained by devouring apertures. He had forcefully seized them. This heavenly tribulation was the first time he underwent a tribulation with rank 7 cultivation level. Afterwards, Fang Yuan used perceivable Dao Immortal GU to calculate that he gained over 1,000 poison path Dao marks from this heavenly tribulation. From now on, if Fang Yuan used poison path Immortal GU, he would gain twice as much. Heavenly tribulations gave an average of 750 Dao marks. Fang Yuan had over 1,000 because Providence raised the power of the heavenly tribulation to the limit. But these gains were not what Fang Yuan needed at the moment. Firstly, he did not have any poison path resources to nurture. Secondly, his poison path attainment level was very low. And lastly, he only had 1 poison path immortal GU, woman's heart. Evidently, Providence purposely chose poison path to cause trouble for Fang Yuan. The next time I undergo a heavenly tribulation, I'm afraid Providence will choose to reduce the power of the heavenly tribulation to the lowest. Fang Yuan didn't need to guess to be able to guess this. This heavenly tribulation made Providence realize that it couldn't do anything to Fang Yuan, so it probably wouldn't increase the power of the heavenly tribulation to its limit anymore. After all, doing so would only increase Fang Yuan's Dao marks. Apart from helping his enemies, it wouldn't create any trouble at all. This also means that in the future, my gains from transcending tribulations will be very low. Love Go Small. Neck devouring the aperture is the right way. Fang Yuan understood. Devour aperture was one of the advantages of the sovereign immortal aperture. It would definitely be used in the future. It was just that he did not have the upper extreme heavenly eagle currently, and Fang Yuan was also cultivating in seclusion. There were no opportunities. The river of time was never-ending. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, 1 month had passed. During this period, Fang Yuan went through the earthly calamity again and realized that it was just as he had guessed. He gained very few Dao marks. However, in other aspects, Fang Yuan had improved at lightning speed and gained a lot. In terms of soul path, his soul foundation had risen to 50 million man soul level. His soul was extremely condensed. There were already signs of it turning from phantom to solid. Most importantly, the immortal killer move Ghost official garment was becoming thicker and thicker. It gave Fang Yuan a strong concealment ability. He Lulan had already finished refining the stars. Fang Yuan tried to use Star Eyes Immortal GU. The investigative effect was very good. With this Immortal GU, his investigative ability was greatly enhanced. In terms of immortal aperture management, the basic construction was already completed. After expending almost all of his immortal Yuan stone reserves, as well as the 3 gifts from the Snowman tribe, Fang Yuan even borrowed a batch of resources from Lang Ya sect, finally completing the basic construction. This way, although Fang Yuan had not truly fed it once, the foundation was already there. It was like having a meal, but plates of delicacies were already placed on the table, and the food was already cooking in the pot. As long as this continued, he would succeed without any accidents. There were 7 levels of immortal aperture management. The first level was to create mortal resources. The second level was to create immortal materials that could be used to feed immortal GU. The third level was to raise and produce immortal beasts and immortal plants, forming a self-sustaining ecosystem. The fourth level was to use the immortal aperture's various products to trade with each other and earn profits. Fang Yuan used to be abnormally prosperous. He had 1 foot in the fourth level, but still had 1 foot in the second level. Now that he had reached perfection stage of the second level, Fang Yuan's final step was to step into the third level. The third level was to raise and produce immortal beasts and immortal plants, forming a self-sustaining ecosystem. Love Go Small Say Net W. The standard for this level was, these immortal beasts and immortal plants were perfectly integrated into the immortal aperture's natural cycle, forming a self-sustaining ecosystem with other life forms. In this aspect, Fang Yuan had already reached it, but he was lacking now. Because the two largest beast groups were eagle groups and year beasts, they had not truly integrated into the sovereign immortal aperture. Eagle beasts needed to hunt large amounts of food. Currently, Fang Yuan was buying them from Lang Ya sect and Jewel Yellow Skies. Year beasts fed on year GU, Fang Yuan relied on his own production. Rank 8 years flow like water immortal GU played a huge role in this. Without it, Fang Yuan would not be able to raise such a large-scale year beast group. I need to slow down the construction of the third level. Fang Yuan wanted to continue, but he had no choice but to stop. He did not have enough capital. If he wanted to continue developing his immortal aperture, he needed to start from the fourth level and develop the trade first. Right now, Fang Yuan had 9 economic pillars in his hands. The first source of income was naturally the Guts GU. It was a monopolistic trade with huge potential, but the investment was huge, and he had to share the profits with Lang Ya sect. Fang Yuan's current profits from Guts GU were all used to cultivate Soul Path. There was no profit in this. The second was Year GU. Fang Yuan had not truly taken over the market of Year GU yet, but after his previous investment, even if he developed in this area, his profits would be terrible in the next 2 to 5 years. But undeniably, the Year GU trade had huge potential. The reason was that Fang Yuan had rank 8 immortal GU years flow like water. This immortal GU was created by the Northern Plains Time Path great expert Heifan. It was a top-tier rank 8 immortal GU. Not only was it easy to activate, it also meant that he had a cheap production line for mass-producing year GU. But there was a flaw: it would attract immemorial year beasts to cause trouble in his immortal aperture. After Heifan created year's flow like water immortal GU, he had been trying to resolve this flaw. Unfortunately, he had his own limitations. Even though he was a Time Path great expert, he could not use it in other aspects. Secondly, he had limited fortuitous encounters. If he was like Fang Yuan and had 180 slaves, he could resolve this flaw as well. Thirdly, he had limited lifespan. In fact, Heifan was already dealing with this flaw. Immemorial year beast fishing formation and flood discharge formation were results, but unfortunately, his lifespan was up. Thus, years flow like water immortal GU did not fully shine in the hands of its creator. It was only in the hands of an outsider like Fang Yuan that it showed its power. How should he put it? Fang Yuan often sighed. This was truly fate. After Year GU, there were dragonfish and regretful spiders, these two large resource points. They corresponded to Dragon Scale Sea Area and Coiling Thread Caves in the Sovereign Immortal Aperture. Back then, when Fang Yuan was in Southern Border, he had thought of ways to borrow Wu Clan's strength to slowly develop it. It took a lot of effort. But now, the dragonfish business suffered a huge blow. Because Fang Yuan's disguise as Wu Yihai's secret was exposed, the dragonfish business relied on Wu Clan's connections to sell to Southern Border's righteous path forces. Now that Fang Yuan's identity was exposed, this channel was cut off. Thus, regretful spiders became Fang Yuan's current main source of income. The biggest buyer of this trade was Western Desert Xiao Clan. This relationship was getting more and more stable. After dragonfish and regretful spiders, there were eerie fire dragon pythons, a series of star path resources, star dart GU, star fragment grass, etc., spirit snakes, snow monsters, and light shine fungi. The eerie fire dragon python business was originally obtained by Fang Yuan from Imperial Court Blessed Land. After He Clan obtained the unique method to raise them, it grew to this scale. The scale was not big or small. It could not compare to dragonfish and regretful spiders. Star Path resources were left behind by Fang Yuan after inheriting Star Lord Wn Xiong. He did not focus on nurturing this resource. It was originally very important, but now it was getting less and less important, because many resources surpassed it. And it was left behind by a rank 6 GU immortal. It was not big at first. Spirit snakes and Star Path resources were similar. They were produced by Han Dong Blessed Land. They were annexed by Fang Yuan. He did not focus on nurturing them. They were still the same. Finally, snow monsters and light shine fungi were future projects. The former was because Fang Yuan was using the Ice Path crystal essence to modify his immortal aperture's environment in Kokotahara. The latter had an important mission. They could not be sold as goods. To sum it up, Fang Yuan's trade situation was not optimistic. Guts GU had no profits, the dragonfish business was heavily damaged. Even though regretful spiders were still doing well, they could not do much alone. The remaining eerie fire dragon pythons, Star Path resources, and spirit snakes were all important sources of income for rank 6 GU immortals, but to Fang Yuan, they were too small. These three and the regretful spiders were barely able to support Fang Yuan's situation. Finally, the snow monsters and light shine fungi business, Fang Yuan needed to invest in the former. While the latter could not be touched, it needed to be expanded. The huge profits from the sale of Year GU had been used up. In this situation, Fang Yuan needed to revive his trade. He had a huge business, even though the foundation was completed and his immortal aperture's development had increased from 3% to 4%, be it the construction of the immortal aperture, modifying killer moves, or soul path cultivation, he needed to invest in them continuously. To improve, he needed to invest in them first. The greater the capital invested, the faster and higher the rate of improvement. As for Fang Yuan, he had a vast amount of inheritance contents. He naturally had countless resource management methods. Many of them were even exclusive inheritances. He had too many choices to choose from. But among them, which one was the most suitable for him, the best choice? Fang Yuan fell into deep thought. Notice 3 things. 1. The postcards have already been sent out. Because they were ordinary mail, many people received them, but a few did not. There is no helping it. I know now that the postal service's ordinary mail is much worse than express delivery. If I cannot receive them, I have no other choice. But thankfully, such an event will be held again. Next, I will send them registered mail. I can check them now. 2. Minor character event. A lot of students want a cameo role. So I want to organize another cameo recruitment event. To participate, please read the minor character event post pinned at Chi Jian's book review section, and then follow the post to write down the minor character that you like. Another note, this might very well be the last time we're looking for extras. 3. Update status. Recently, he had to apologize to everyone at the beginning of the chapter every day. But this update status will continue until mid-November. According to the current progress, this book will not be finished this year. It should be finished in the first half of next year. Chapter 1481. Genius 1 second. Remember if you want to go. SpeakNet, providing you with exciting novels to read. Lang Ya Blessed Land, Cloud City Secret Room. Fang Yuan's soul flew out of his body. His soul was no longer the same as before. His foundation was at 70 million man-soul level. Fang Yuan sacrificed the profits from Guts GU, and exploited Ying Wuxia and the rest, adding on the 2 secluded domains of heaven and earth that were the most beneficial for soul path cultivation in the world. His soul path cultivation had been advancing at an astonishing speed. I only need 30 million man-soul to reach 100 million man-soul level. Fang Yuan assessed his soul. The soul was vivid and lifelike. It had an exquisite face and a normal body shape. There was a halo emitting from the depths of the soul, enveloping the entire soul, giving off a feeling of sturdiness and exquisiteness. Rank 9 killer move ghostly concealment was like a silk undergarment, sticking to the surface of the soul. Above it, there was a layer of ghost official garment. Fang Yuan's modified Immortal Killer Move Ghost Official Garment used Rank 7 Change Soul Immortal GU and Rank 6 Cleanse Soul Immortal GU as the cause. Earlier, it was just a loose garment. It had long sleeves and dragged down the back of his feet. It was very thin. But as Fang Yuan's soul foundation continued to rise, this layer of ghost official garment became thicker. Looking at it now, this layer of ghost official garment had changed. Not only did it turn from a long garment into a set of armor, there was even a layer of battle armor on the garment. It looked very majestic. This was the true appearance of the rank 7 killer move ghost official garment, ghost general garment. Earlier, because of ghostly concealment, the connection between ghost official garment and the soul weakened. It was weakened to the rank 6 ghost soldier garment. But now, as his soul foundation rose, it gradually recovered its rank 7 level power. But I am still some distance away from the complete ghost general garment. Fang Yuan looked at his back. The complete form of ghost general garment was not only a set of armor, there were also 3 battle flags on the back. Right now, these battle flags were nowhere to be seen. The focus of Fang Yuan's cultivation today was not just to check his soul path cultivation results. Even though his soul had left his body, there was a will in his mind. He started to activate an immortal killer move. Soul separation. This move came from Spectral Soul's true inheritance. After being modified by Fang Yuan, it could be used as well. An intense pain quickly assaulted Fang Yuan's soul. His soul immediately suffered a heavy blow. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth and hurriedly withdrew his soul back into his body. This was the first time he was trying to use Split Soul. Split Soul killer move was different. It required the GU Immortal's soul to leave their body and use their remaining thoughts, wills, and emotions to control GU worms, thus it was much harder to activate than ordinary immortal moves. Activating the killer move failed. Fang Yuan was speechless. He began to consume Guts GU to heal his injuries. If the killer move Split Soul succeeds, splitting the soul would not cause any pain. It would be as easy as drinking water. But if he failed, the consequences would be severe. Often, his soul would directly collapse. Thus, GU Immortals without a strong soul foundation could not blindly use this move, otherwise, they would be courting death. Fang Yuan's soul foundation had reached 10 million man soul, which was why he started to practice. Right now, Fang Yuan had already modified his sword path killer move. He was very familiar with it. He started to modify and practice his soul path killer moves. Other than Split Soul killer move, there were also soul suppression, soul howl, soul explosion, soul devour, soul transfer, soul beast summoning, and others. Fang Yuan did not have many soul path immortal GU, he could only replicate them, but their power would be greatly reduced. What determined Fang Yuan's battle strength was still reverse flow protection seal. Be it soul path methods, sword path, or wisdom path, they were all methods to enrich Fang Yuan's arsenal. Modifying and practicing soul path killer moves took up a lot of Fang Yuan's time and energy. And in terms of immortal aperture management, Fang Yuan had already decided on his next focus. He thought about it and chose dragonfish. Firstly, the dragonfish business's foundation was still there. During this period of time, Fang Yuan had accumulated a lot of dragonfish in his immortal aperture. He had sufficient stock. Secondly, Fang Yuan had done the dragonfish business before. He had experience. It was not like the year GU business, where he was a newcomer. Finally, dragonfish had transformation path, food path, and other Dao marks. Just like the rumors said, dragonfish were a new life form created by a food path GU immortal. They had a certain effect on feeding immortal GU. Fang Yuan currently had the most orthodox food path inheritance. There was a method to raise dragonfish on a large scale. Dragon scale sea area. Fang Yuan first expanded this sea area. He also modified the immortal GU formation in the sea area. This was a brand new immortal GU formation. It used rank 6 snack immortal GU, rank 7 dragon scale, rank 7 dragon breath, and rank 6 dragon strength as the cores, with about 130,000 mortal GU as support. Just modifying this giant immortal formation took Fang Yuan 3 days. In these 3 days, Fang Yuan did not rest. He bathed in the light of wisdom. Setting up the immortal formation took Fang Yuan 12 days. Half a month later, Fang Yuan successfully raised this dragonfish resource point from a large resource point to a giant resource point. This way, the dragonfish reproduction speed increased. With the sovereign immortal aperture's own time flow, the production increased greatly. Fang Yuan started to discuss the dragonfish trade. Lang Ya sect easily obtained it. The Snowman tribe also decided to purchase dragonfish from Fang Yuan regularly. Western Desert Xiao clan, Fang Yuan used the regretful spider business to establish a relationship. He successfully made Xiao clan one of the biggest customers of the dragonfish business. At Northern Plains Chu clan, Chu Du also secretly made an agreement with Fang Yuan. They would be doing business for more than 10 years. The start was good, but the next part was the main event. Fang Yuan sold these dragonfish to Jewel Yellow Skies. He sent in different wills. He changed his identity so that others could not find out his background. This time, Fang Yuan used a different strategy from Ye Jiyu. In the Ye Jiyu business, Fang Yuan had a decisive advantage. He charged in forcefully, sweeping away all objections. But in terms of dragonfish, even though Fang Yuan had a method to raise them, the cost was not cheap. Thus, this time, he slowly increased the scale of dragonfish sales. He did this on purpose. There was not a huge commotion. Jewel Yellow Skies was operating normally. As Fang Yuan cultivated, he observed the market's movements. Eastern Sea. Jiyu Immortal Yu Chan was holding a dragonfish, observing it carefully. Under the light, her beautiful face was solemn, her brows were tightly furrowed. She inspected the dragonfish several times before sending it into her immortal aperture, sighing softly. I wonder where this person came from. He is very strong. Not only is he good at raising dragonfish, he also has an endless supply of them. In terms of the dragonfish business, Yu Chan was the undisputed #1 in Jewel Yellow Skies. In the Ye Jiyu business, there were 3 sellers. But in the dragonfish business, Yu Chan was the leader. She was far ahead of the other Jiyu immortals, firmly occupying the #1 position for decades. On one hand, she was a water path Jiyu immortal. She had a huge advantage in raising dragonfish. On the other hand, she occupied the famous Dragonfish Sea area in Dragon Sea. This was a natural breeding ground with a huge scale. Not only did Yu Chan produce dragonfish in her own immortal GU, she also had a base in Eastern Sea. With these 2 factors, no one could match her in terms of dragonfish production. Other than this, Yu Chan was a vigilant person. She had a wide network of friends. She could read people's expressions. She was very perceptive. To be able to become the sole leader of the dragonfish business, Yu Chan naturally had her own extraordinary points. This time, just as Fang Yuan increased his dragonfish production, Yu Chan noticed it immediately. Yu Chan bought a batch of dragonfish from Fang Yuan anonymously. After careful investigation, she found out that Fang Yuan was her greatest enemy. Yu Chan placed great importance on this. She immediately went to investigate Fang Yuan's background. Know yourself and your enemy. You will never be defeated. But she disguised herself as a buyer. She tried all sorts of methods to probe for information, but Fang Yuan's will did not reveal any flaws. Yu Chan expressed her desire to communicate with Fang Yuan himself, but Fang Yuan did not show up. Several days passed. Yu Chan's heart was getting heavier, because she found that Fang Yuan's production was getting larger and larger. And in Jewel Yellow Skies' market, many GU immortals were starting to notice this abnormality. Even though Fang Yuan did not do it openly, Yu Chan felt even greater pressure. This cannot go on. Yu Chan could not sit still. She left the Dragonfish Sea area. She did not fly, she swam underwater. After moving for hundreds of li, she found an undercurrent at the bottom of the sea. Yu Chan entered the undercurrent, using the power of nature to speed up. Chapter 1482. Genius 1 second. Remember if you want to go. SpeakNet, providing you with exciting novels to read. Yu Chan was a water path GU immortal. Using the undercurrents, her speed was much faster than flying GU immortals. After going through several undercurrents, after several days, Yu Chan arrived at Nangong tribe's territorial sea. Nangong tribe was one of Eastern Sea's righteous path superforces. Yu Chan came to the edge of the territorial sea and stopped, landing on a nameless island to wait. She was here to seek help from Nangong tribe. Before she left, she had already used information path methods to inform them. As expected, Yu Chan did not have to wait for long. A Nangong tribe GU immortal came to receive her. Fairy Yu Chan, Master Hua sent me to welcome you. He is already waiting at Flower Bridge Pavilion. Nangong tribe's GU immortal was polite. He did not have the arrogance of a superforce. On one hand, He only had rank 6 cultivation level, while Yu Chan was rank 7. On the other hand, even though Yu Chan was a lone cultivator, she had many connections. She was one of the 6 great fairies of Eastern Sea's Gu Immortal world. Her reputation was spread far and wide. Nangong tribe's Gu Immortal had to pay attention to her. Thank you. Yu Chan smiled lightly. The Nangong tribe Gu Immortal's heart jumped. Fairy, please follow me. Nangong tribe's Gu Immortal calmed his mind and led the way. Yu Chan followed him into the sea, entering the undercurrents. After a few undercurrents, Yu Chan saw an immortal Gu house in the sea. This immortal Gu house had a unique structure. There was a pavilion in the middle of a bridge, there was a stone table and stone chairs in the pavilion. A Gu Immortal was brewing tea. Yu Chan followed the Nangong tribe Gu Immortal onto the bridge. The man in the pavilion smiled. Fairy Yu Chan came from afar. Please forgive me for not being able to welcome you personally. Yu Chan smiled. Hua An, you are one of the 3 wisdom path experts in Eastern Sea. What can I do if you put on such airs? Yu Chan and Hua An had a good relationship. She was just joking. In fact, Hua An was originally a Hua tribe Gu Immortal, but due to various reasons, he betrayed Hua tribe. Hua tribe was a righteous path superforce. When Hua An escaped, he received Yu Chan's help. The two became friends. After that, Nangong clan accepted Hua An. Hua An cultivated diligently and became famous in Eastern Sea in Wisdom Path. A doggerel was used to praise the bipolar Pan Jiao Pil, the southern palace hid Hua An, and the dragon head turtle, returning from the Sea of Adversity. The second paragraph was about Hua An. Even though Hua An was a vassal of Nangong tribe, he was constantly threatened by Hua tribe. He had been assassinated many times by Hua tribe's Gu Immortals. Therefore, he usually stayed in the Nangong family's headquarters and rarely went out. He had shown his sincerity by risking his life to meet Yu Chan. Yu Chan naturally knew about Hua An's situation. She was quite satisfied that she could see Hua An here. She was even a little surprised. Hua An laughed and gestured with his hand. Fairy, please take a seat. Yu Chan didn't stand on ceremony. She sat down and raised her cup to drink tea. Then she sighed. This tea is good tea. It's a pity that I have worries in my heart and can't enjoy the tea in peace. Hua An nodded. Fairy, please tell me in detail. I will do my best to help you solve your problems. While Yu Chan was drinking tea, Fang Yuan was drinking wine. He was not drinking ordinary wine, it was a wedding wine. This wedding wine was not someone else's wedding wine, it was his. Congratulations to Lord Fang Yuan, congratulations to Fairy Shui. It is truly enviable for 2 lovers to be able to get married. Ha ha ha. Bing Zhuo laughed as he toasted. Fang Yuan smiled as he raised his cup, replying while looking around. In the hall, there were 2 or 3 tables of banquets, all of them were Gu Immortals. Most of them were variant human Gu Immortals. There were snowmen, hairy men, ink men, and rock men. Other than them, there were the Shadow Sect members led by Fang Yuan. Bai Ning Bing was not among them. Love Go Small Say Neck Fang Yuan had rank 8 battle strength. His wedding banquet was extremely important in Northern Plains Variant Human Alliance. Almost all of the Gu Immortals came to attend. The Snowman Gu Immortals were cheering while the Rockman Gu Immortals had stiff expressions. This engagement banquet was a good thing for the Snowman tribe, but for the Rockmen, the neighboring tribe that they had been bullied for so long suddenly had a rank 8 battle strength expert. This was simply the worst news of all. Elder Bing Yuan, you have done a great deed. I am in admiration, in admiration. At the table, Rockman First Supreme Elder Shizong said to Bing Yuan in a deep tone. Bing Yuan was Shui-Er's grandmother. The marriage with Fang Yuan was something that she had advocated, and now, she finally saw results. This is my granddaughter's fortune. Sai, to speak the truth, our tribe is in a superior position. Bing Yuan pretended not to hear the mockery in Shizong's words. She replied to him while looking at the main table. There, Fang Yuan was sitting at the main seat. Shui-Er was beside him with an uneasy expression. Bing Yuan sighed. She looked glorious on the surface, but she was worried in her heart. This was not the wedding banquet that she wanted, it was only an engagement banquet. Bing Yuan fully experienced how troublesome Fang Yuan was. Just this engagement banquet alone made the Snowman tribe pay a huge price. And this was after she had bargained with Fang Yuan many times. They finally obtained this result. Both sides took a step back, Fang Yuan obtained another sum of resources, and the Snowman tribe could finally borrow Fang Yuan's influence. But luring Fang Yuan to my clan, such a person, was my decision right or wrong? Bing Yuan recalled the process of her negotiation with Fang Yuan. She started to hesitate. But on the surface, Bing Yuan did not show any emotions, she was full of smiles. The banquet was very lively. Eastern Sea. Huaren said to Yu Chan with an ashamed expression, "Fairy, I have disappointed you. I could not deduce this person's background for you. Even you, Master Hua, could not." Yu Chan was quite surprised. Huaren's expression turned solemn. Firstly, it is hard to deduce with just the clues of the dragonfish. Secondly, this person has a killer move that counters wisdom path deductions. He can conceal his identity. Yu Chan heard this and felt even more uneasy. The other party actually had wisdom path methods to defend against deductions. She did not have this. The enemy had her but she did not. The other party came prepared, or had someone backing him up. Either way, it showed how strong the enemy was. Is his wisdom path attainment higher than you, Huaren? You are one of the 3 great wisdom path experts of Eastern Sea, even you could not deduce him? Yu Chan was very dissatisfied. Fairy, you misunderstood. Wisdom path is different from water path. This scene is like a river. The other party has set up a checkpoint in the most dangerous valley. No matter how wide the river is, at this checkpoint, the deep torrent will turn into a shallow pool. We wisdom path GU immortals can create huge waves on the wide river, but at the checkpoint, we cannot use our strength, it is much more effective. Huaren explained patiently, thinking that Yu Chan cultivated water path. He carefully used water as an analogy. It is not that I cannot do it, even other wisdom path GU immortals cannot deduce him if they cannot break this defense. Even if this defense is only at rank 6 level. Yu Chan was depressed. She did not have a deep understanding of wisdom path. In fact, most GU immortals did not have a deep understanding of wisdom path. On one hand, wisdom path GU immortals were rare, on the other hand, wisdom path GU immortals who knew the profundities of wisdom path would not seek trouble and publicize their paths to the outside world. Yu Chan had thought that by asking for Huaren's help, she would be able to find out about Fang Yuan's background, but to think that she suffered a setback. But the more it was like this, the more Yu Chan did not want to give up. Huaren understood her personality. Yu Chan not only had outstanding looks, she also had the tenacity of water. Her current status and achievements were all due to her own hard work. Thus, Huaren suggested, we can probe them again, as long as we have more information and clues, I can break through their defenses. Even if one clue is like an ant's nest, a dam of 1,000 li often collapses because of an ant's nest. The more clues we have, the more success we will have. Yu Chan nodded. Wait a moment. She immediately entered her mind and communicated with Jewel Yellow Skies, trying to find Fang Yuan's will again. Her earlier probe did not yield any results, but she still wanted to try again. Yu Chan, no need to probe me. I am very interested in the dragonfish business. I can even say that I am determined to get it. Fang Yuan's will told Yu Chan. Yu Chan was shocked. Her expression changed, she regained her senses and told Huaren's expression also changed. In this situation, the other party's background is not small. I am the #1 person in the dragonfish business. He can challenge me. How can he not have a strong background? Yu Chan rolled her eyes at Hua and shook his head with a solemn expression. I am talking about his wisdom path attainment. My previous divination was most likely detected by the other party, and they used it against us. Thus, they managed to deduce your identity. I was already very careful, but he was able to deduce your identity under such limited circumstances. His wisdom path attainment is not weaker than mine. In fact, he might even surpass me. So that's it. Yu Chan was shocked again. Chapter 1483. Genius in 1 second. Remember love? TalkNet, providing you with exciting novels to read. The banquet was bustling with noise and excitement. This engagement banquet had a strong political significance. Not just to the variant human alliance, it was even more so to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan did not reject any of the variant human GU Immortals' toasts. Using his interpersonal skills, he was able to close the distance between him and the variant human GU Immortals. Fang Yuan's original identity was quite awkward. He was a pure human. In the variant human alliance, he was a political loner. The variant human GU Immortals had natural suspicions towards Fang Yuan. But this time, Fang Yuan and Shui were engaged. This gave people a completely different feeling. It could be said that he had successfully entered the circle of variant human GU Immortals. Before this, Fang Yuan had only integrated into Lang Ya sect. Of course, the most important thing is that I have rank 8 battle strength. Fang Yuan was very clear about this. The GU Master World was a special world where individual people ruled over the collective. As long as one's cultivation level was high and their battle strength was extraordinary, they would be successful in every endeavor. If she knows that I have rank 8 battle strength, will Yu Chan back off? This thought suddenly appeared in Fang Yuan's mind. The dragonfish business was the next focus of Fang Yuan's immortal aperture development. If Yu Chan backed off, it would be perfect for Fang Yuan. But unfortunately, Yu Chan would not do that. Fang Yuan shook his head inwardly. Yu Chan was a person with vested interests. It would be extremely difficult to make her give up a piece of the pie. With dual yellow skies, even rank 6 GU Immortals would dare to openly challenge or even provoke rank 8 GU Immortals in business. Dual yellow skies was a place that even the Celestial Court could not touch. Yu Chan. Eastern Sea's 6 Beauties. Myriad Gold Wondrous Essence Physique. Fang Yuan entertained as he thought. Others did not know Yu Chan's secret, but after Fang Yuan inherited Shadow Sect's inheritance, he obtained a lot of crucial information. It pointed out that Yu Chan possessed one of the 10 ultimate physiques, the Myriad Gold Wonder Physique. This was Yu Chan's biggest secret. She had hidden it very well, but the Shadow Sect had a special method to search for the 10 ultimate physiques. To refine Sovereign Immortal Fetus GU, Shadow Sect had to gather all 10 extreme physiques. During this process, the Shadow Sect discovered Yu Chan's secret. However, at that time, the Shadow Sect already had the Myriad Gold Wonder Body, so they didn't do anything to Yu Chan. As for why Yu Chan, who clearly had the Myriad Gold Wonder Body, chose to cultivate the Water Dao, this was the difficulty of a rogue cultivator. Back then, Yu Chan had obtained the Water Dao legacy. She had no other choice, so she could only cultivate. Later on, changing schools of thought was very troublesome and risky, so Yu Chan continued to cultivate until now. Fang Yuan was able to deduce that Yu Chan was here to probe him. On one hand, it was because Fang Yuan had a lot of information about Yu Chan. He knew that she was his biggest competitor in the dragonfish business. On the other hand, Fang Yuan had Ghost Official Garment. He inherited many of Zishan Makoto's killer moves, as well as the countless methods of Shadow Sect and Lang Ya sect. As for the Myriad Gold Wonder Body, it was clearly recorded in the Legends of Renzu, Chapter 4, Section 27. Legend has it that the Miniman surpassed boundless forest samsara. He relied on perseverance to build a ladder to leave ordinary abyss. The Miniman met Renzu. He sighed. If he had perseverance GU back then, he would have been able to overcome Reverse Flow River. He would not have caused so much trouble. Renzu wanted to save his children, but until now, he had not succeeded. Renzu saw that the Miniman had perseverance GU. He had new hope. He said to the Miniman, "Miniman, oh Miniman, I want to ask you for a favor." The Miniman asked, "Oh Renzu, what do you want me to help you with?" Renzu told the Miniman that he wanted to borrow the Miniman's perseverance GU. The Miniman said, "Oh Renzu, the reason why I was able to leave ordinary abyss was because of the trees you planted. I chopped down those trees and built a ladder for me to climb. Thus, I owe you a favor." The Miniman agreed to lend perseverance GU to Renzu. But after Renzu obtained perseverance GU, he found that he could not use it. This is the Miniman's perseverance, it is not your perseverance. Cognition GU appeared at this time, telling Renzu the truth. Renzu was sad, he sighed deeply. He asked Cognition GU, "Then what should I do? I know perseverance GU can help me, but I cannot use it. I know the Feathermen can help me, but love cannot control them. Cognition GU told Renzu, nobody can force others to love them, but you can create a GU and use it to lure the feathermen to do things for you. Think about it, how did this Miniman obtain perseverance GU? Cognition GU's words gave Renzu a lot of inspiration. Renzu was overjoyed. Oh Cognition GU, thank you for giving me such a good suggestion. I know what to do now, I want to create a GU myself. Cognition GU asked curiously, what kind of GU will it be? Renzu shook his head, I am not sure, but I have an idea. I want this GU to become something that everyone in the world wants. Thus, Renzu left ordinary abyss and went to the blue sea. This was the blue sea that produced life GU, the source of all life in the world. Renzu had walked ashore from the blue sea, and now he was back here. Renzu was thirsty, he scooped up the blue sea's seawater and drank a few mouthfuls, but the more he drank, the more thirsty he became. Renzu was satisfied, I want to use this blue sea's seawater to refine GU. After I refine it, no matter who obtains it, they will not be satisfied, they will want more. Thus, Renzu took away a lot of the blue sea's seawater. The amount of seawater decreased, revealing the beach. Renzu found that there were many sea urchin-like GU on the beach. These were not life GU, they were hardship GU. In any life, there would be hardship GU. Renzu's eyes brightened, he said, the GU that I want to refine, even though people need it, they will have to work very hard to obtain it. Thus, he collected many hardship GU. After doing this, Renzu left the blue sea and went to the door of life and death. After entering the door, Renzu did not enter the door of life and death, he only walked around the path of life. He collected many worry GU, he said, the GU that I refine, after people obtain it, they cannot discard it, they will be worried that they will lose it. After leaving the door of life and death, on the way, Renzu encountered sorrow GU again. Renzu laughed happily. Great, the GU that I want to refine, if people lose it, they will be very sad. This way, they will not discard it. Thus, he collected the sorrow GU again. Renzu collected all of these things, he started to refine the GU. The GU refinement fire burned fiercely, giving off a lot of black smoke, attracting many GU and living beings to observe. Oh Renzu, what GU are you going to refine? Stupidity GU was attracted, it asked curiously. Renzu laughed, oh stupidity GU, if you want to know, why don't you drill into the fire and take a look? Stupidity GU drilled into the fire and did not come out. Not long after, wisdom GU was attracted, it asked, oh Renzu, what GU are you going to refine? Renzu laughed, oh stupidity GU, if you want to know, why don't you drill into the fire and take a look? Wisdom GU also flew in. However, it only flew into the black smoke and was blinded. After flying around randomly for a while, it flew out again. Renzu, oh Renzu, I was almost deceived by you. I have already seen what you are going to refine, I am leaving. Saying so, wisdom GU flew far away. Renzu felt it was a pity, he sighed. This way, after my GU is refined, it can make stupid people my servants, and deceive wise people for a while. However, one day passed, another day passed. The GU refinement fire continued to burn, but it did not succeed. The burning black smoke did not dissipate for a long time, it floated in the air and turned into a vast dark cloud that covered the sky. Oh Renzu, you should have felt it, there is still one step left. This final step is the most crucial step. Cognition GU said. Renzu nodded, he stood up resolutely and walked to the front of the fire. It seems, this GU needs to be created with human hands. Thereupon, Renzu chopped off his hands and threw them into the fire. Whoosh! The fire exploded, and in an instant, the endless black smoke and dark clouds in the sky dispersed. Under the bright golden sunlight, a girl appeared in front of Renzu. Oh Father, thank you, you gave me life, my name is Myriad Gold Wondrous Essence. The girl was radiating with the aura of treasures, she smiled at Renzu. Renzu looked at her and laughed heartily, haha, I have another daughter. But wait, is my GU refinement complete? Chapter 1484. Genius 1 second. Remember if you want to go. SpeakNet, providing you with exciting novels to read. Western Desert. This was a desert, the terrain was flat and boundless. There were cracks everywhere on the ground, not even a blade of grass grew. But deep underground, there was a whole new world. There were large numbers of ore veins, as well as constructed mines. Over 100,000 rockmen lived here as miners, excavating all kinds of minerals for the GU Immortals. This was Western Desert's famous myriad or desert, controlled by one of the superforces, Sha Clan. There were many types of minerals here, and the reserves were plentiful. Other than the mortal ores mined by the rockmen, there were also many immortal ores that GU Immortals could only mine by themselves. For example, dark flow golden steel, this was the toughest rank 6 immortal material. Another example was the rank 7 immortal material, dark inkstone. Even if the ancient sword dragon clawed at it, it would not leave a mark. In the depths of the million ore desert, there was a majestic river of gold fragments. The Gold Fragment River was a metal river of immemorial yellow heaven, and this myriad ore desert was where a huge fragment of immemorial yellow heaven had once fallen. The immemorial yellow heaven fragment had once become a treasure land for GU Masters and GU Immortals to explore, but with the passage of time, the immemorial yellow heaven fragment became smaller and smaller, eventually vanishing. During this process of dissipation, the Tao marks that it dispersed gradually transformed the surrounding Gobi into the Thousand-Ore Gobi. And this gold fragment river was a product of the immemorial yellow heaven fragment. It had been passed down until now, and had not dried up. Fang Yuan's mini yellow heaven also had a gold fragment river, but it was very small. It paled in comparison to this gold fragment river in myriad or desert. In the middle of this grand gold fragment river, there was an immortal GU formation. The GU formation was still operating. It monitored the whole of myriad or desert and commanded countless rockman miners. Boom! Suddenly, there was a loud sound. This immortal GU formation flashed with a dazzling light. A crack appeared on the GU formation, a door opened. A thick cloud of smoke flew out from the door. Cough, cough. From the colorful smoke, a rockman GU Immortal walked out. But as he walked out, the rock skin on his body fell off piece by piece, revealing his true body. This was a pure human GU Immortal. He was middle-aged, and his eyes were filled with vicissitudes of life. His appearance was ordinary, and he gave people the impression that he was an honest man. At this moment, he was covered in dirt and was coughing non-stop. The 89th GU refinement still failed. The middle-aged GU Immortal sighed as he coughed out blood. The blood he spat out was very strange. When it landed on the ground, it actually condensed into all kinds of gems, pearls, agate, jade, and even gold, silver, bronze, and so on. Even if Fang Yuan were here, he would probably be surprised to see such a scene. What was the reason for this middle-aged GU Immortal to suffer such strange injuries? As the person in question, the middle-aged GU Immortal looked at the treasures around him with a plain expression. He was not surprised at all. Because he knew what he was doing, refining Wealth GU. Wealth GU, this was a legendary GU recorded in the legends of Ren Zhu. According to Ren Zhu's instructions, it was refined using blue sea water, Ren Zhu's hands, worry GU, hardship GU, sorrow GU, wisdom GU, and stupidity GU. However, if the GU Immortal really wanted to refine the GU according to the instructions in the book, it was basically impossible. This was not only because the legends of Ren Zhu was a story, many of its contents had hidden meanings, they were not literal explanations. And these GU materials could not be collected in the current situation. Fang Yuan had rank 9 wisdom GU, but he had not refined it yet. But the blue sea had already disappeared. Where could he find blue sea water? Even if he had blue sea water, what about Ren Zhu's hands? But why was this middle-aged GU Immortal trying to refine Wealth GU? It was still the same saying, GU were the essence of heaven and earth, man was the spirit of all living beings. Man could create countless GU recipes for the same immortal GU. The method to refine Wealth GU recorded in the legends of Ren Zhu could not be used, but the GU Immortal could modify it himself. This middle-aged GU Immortal cultivated Earth Path, but he had a fortuitous encounter in his early years. He obtained an incomplete immortal GU recipe. It was unknown which predecessor in history had left behind this incomplete recipe while researching Wealthgu's refinement method. The middle-aged GU immortal felt like he had obtained a priceless treasure, because he could see that this GU recipe was extremely valuable. The predecessor who left behind this GU recipe had made a huge contribution. As long as he continued to develop like this, he could really refine Wealth GU. In this incomplete GU recipe, this predecessor had even deduced the effect of Wealth GU based on the GU recipe. If Wealth GU was refined, it could expend one's own body to transform into anything in the world. This object could be gold, silver, copper, iron, rank 6 immortal materials, or even rank 9 immortal materials. But Wealth GU could not transform into any life form. Life forms included animals, plants, humans, variant humans, and GU. If I refine Wealth GU, I can transform into any immortal material in the world. It would be a huge profit. As long as I transform some extinct or rare GU materials, I can quickly become rich enough to rival an entire country. I can even accumulate a huge amount of cultivation capital and surpass the entire Sha clan. The middle-aged GU immortal was moved. He had been trying to refine Wealth GU. He kept it a secret to prevent people from coveting it. This middle-aged GU immortal was called Sha. Sha clan was one of the righteous path superforces in Western Desert. Sha status in Sha clan was very awkward. Even though he had rank 7 cultivation level, he was ostracized by Sha clan's GU immortals. This had a historical origin. Sha father betrayed the clan, causing Sha clan to suffer huge losses, not only in resources, even GU immortals were sacrificed. Thus, Sha was not liked by Sha clan's GU immortals since he was young. To gain their trust, Sha changed his name to Sha to show that he was loyal to the clan. But it was to no avail. He was sent by Sha clan's first supreme elder to guard this myriad or desert. This place was rich in resources, but it was backed by other superforces and had a bad relationship with Sha clan. It was very risky for Sha to guard this place. Moreover, there was little profit to be made, because this immortal formation was under strict supervision. Sha had no chance to slack off. In fact, even if the supervision was not strict, Sha would not dare to make a move. If he was found out, his situation would be even worse. Precisely because of this, Sha had high expectations for Wealth GU. The foundation of GU immortal cultivation is to manage their own immortal aperture. Without a solid foundation, no matter how high their battle strength is, it is only temporary. It is like a skyscraper that is built on sand. Sha had such an understanding. He had been trying hard, the process was tough, but he did not give up. Looking back at his previous GU immortal cultivation, other than the necessary tribulations, all his other resources were invested in the grand plan of refining Wealth GU. 89th failure. Let me see, I do not have enough people. After Sha healed his injuries, he checked his inventory and found that he did not have enough people to use as GU materials. He needed to collect more. Sha was a righteous path GU immortal. He actually used humans as GU materials to refine GU. This was definitely the behavior of a demon. But as long as he kept it a secret, nobody would know. Sha did not have any evidence against him. Nobody would be able to do anything to him. Sha was very vigilant in this aspect. He would never capture the humans himself and leave any traces behind. The human slaves he had were all bought from Jewel Yellow Skies. They were very clean. I used humans to replace the blue sea water in the ancient recipe of Wealth GU. It is already Renzu's hands. There should be no mistake about this. But is it not enough? Do I need to use Lifespan GU? Sha was thinking. He had Lifespan GU too, but he did not dare to use it carelessly. The legends of Renzu recorded that even though Wisdom GU was not sacrificed like Stupidity GU, it still participated in the GU refinement process. I do not have Wisdom GU, so I used other Wisdom Path GU worms to replace it. There is a lot of room for improvement in this aspect. Worry GU, Hardship GU, Sadness GU, these mortal GU, Sha had them all. They were not hard to collect. In fact, he could even refine Stupidity GU himself. GU Fangjing is close to success. It is quite complete now. Sha finished healing his injuries. He checked the blood on the ground. Chapter 1485. Genius 1 second. Remember if you want to go. TalkNet, providing you with exciting novels to read. Shizhong had been in this field for a long time. He could tell if he had made any progress from his blood clots. Even though I made progress this time, I am still far from success. I feel like I am still lacking in many crucial steps. I need to work hard. Shizhong had a lot of experience in this field. He had an intuition. He calculated the time. It was time to feed the immortal GU again. Shizhong inherited his bloodline's inheritance. He had several immortal GU. This made the other She clan GU immortals jealous. But this was She clan's tradition. It was a rule that could not be broken. Shizhong had these immortal GU. This was why he was targeted by She clan's GU immortals. He checked his inventory and felt a headache. It is a little troublesome. I lack some ingredients. I forgot that when I refined Wealth GU earlier, I was short on ingredients, so I sold a portion of the immortal GU ingredients that I had. At this time, it will be difficult to gather another batch of ingredients. I should buy some dragonfish to replace them and feed the immortal GU. Thinking of this, Shizhong did not hesitate. He entered Jewel Yellow Skies with his consciousness. Dragonfish. His goal was clear. He soon found that many GU immortals were selling dragonfish. As a buyer, he naturally had to compare the prices. The dragonfish business was not like year GU, it could be sold all year round. Because dragonfish did not choose the right time to reproduce, they were sold all year round. Shizhong went to Yu Chan's stall first. Everyone knew that Yu Chan was the #1 seller of dragonfish in Jewel Yellow Skies. But she did not just sell dragonfish. She also sold other products, but mainly fish. In the past, Shizhong would buy dragonfish from Yu Chan, because Yu Chan's reputation was very high. If nothing unexpected happened, he would also choose to purchase a batch of arowanas here. After looking at the dragonfish in Yu Chan's hands, Shizhong was not in a hurry to buy them. He chose to look around elsewhere. He soon found Fang Yuan's stall. Hey! There are people selling dragonfish here? There are quite a lot of them. Shizhong looked around and was surprised. He looked carefully. He found that the dragonfish in this stall were not only huge in quantity, they were also of good quality. They were comparable to Yu Chan's dragonfish. Besides, this stall is more popular. Shizhong used his divine sense to look around and found that there were several GU immortal wills surrounding this place, and there were even some GU immortal divine senses communicating with them. To think that while I was in closed cultivation to refine GU, a strong competitor has already appeared in the dragonfish market of Jewel Yellow Skies. Shizhong was thinking when a GU immortal's divine sense came over and communicated with him. Fellow immortal, are you here to purchase dragonfish as well? Why don't we pool our money and buy them together? It will be much cheaper that way, the divine will said. Oh, what's going on? Shizhong asked. That divine sense told him, fellow immortal, don't you know? There were different rules for selling arowanas here. As long as the number of arowanas exceeded a certain standard, the price would be much cheaper. There are all kinds of standards, but in general, the more you buy, the cheaper it is. Hearing this, Shizhong immediately praised in his heart, this method is really not bad. Then, he thought of himself, maybe I can use this method to sell things in the future. The more Shizhong thought about it, the more he felt that this method was amazing. Even though it was reducing the price in essence, with the increase in scale, the profits could be guaranteed. Compared to the competition for year GU earlier, this method of reducing the price was much more ingenious and gentle. Using this method, not only can I sell more dragonfish, I can also make a name for myself. If someone really wants to buy dragonfish, the GU immortal would invite their friends or work with strangers to make it cheaper. This way, the seller can advertise his dragonfish business. The more Shizhong thought about it, the more he felt that this dragonfish seller had a brilliant mind. No wonder there are so many GU immortals here compared to the other side of the dragonfish market. Who knows, there might be a seller here. They are not here to buy the dragonfish, they are just stirring up the atmosphere. Love Go Small Say Net W. Shizhong was immediately interested in this seller. Alright, I will buy them here. I can't miss out on such a good deal. Why wouldn't I take advantage of the situation? Thinking of this, Shizong communicated with the unfamiliar voice and agreed to team up. The other party was happy. After discussing, they bought 100,000 dragonfish together. After buying them, they split them in jewel yellow skies. Both sides left satisfied. Let's not talk about how Shizong would feed the immortal Gu, just the divine sense of the Gu immortal who bought with Shizong immediately took the dragonfish out of treasure yellow heaven and sent them into the sovereign immortal aperture. Shizong guessed correctly. The person who bought with him was the seller's agent, but the mastermind was not Fang Yuan, it was another Gu immortal from Shadow Sect. But even if someone guessed this, how could they verify it in jewel yellow skies? They could not. Actually, this method was not created by Fang Yuan. Shizong mainly refined Gu, he did not pay much attention to the market of jewel yellow skies. In fact, this method had been used long ago. It did not matter if the method was new or old, the most important thing was whether it was effective or not. Regardless of others, Fang Yuan's method was very effective. These last days, as he continued to increase the quantity, more and more dragonfish were sold in jewel yellow skies market. It attracted the attention of many Gu immortals. The huge quantity of dragonfish showed Fang Yuan's strength. Buyers were more willing to choose a stronger seller. On the other hand, Fang Yuan used the correct method to sell his dragonfish. This caused his dragonfish business to spread far and wide. Fang Yuan's dragonfish were of good quality. With the help of the food path immortal formation, the quality would only get better. Initially, the Gu immortals who bought dragonfish from him were few in number, and they did not buy a lot of dragonfish each time. But gradually, more and more Gu immortals bought dragonfish from him. At the same time, the number of dragonfish sold increased rapidly. In fact, there were already repeat customers. And as Fang Yuan's biggest competitor in this dragonfish business, Eastern Sea's Yu Chan, was still selling her dragonfish unhurriedly, she was unmoved. Yu Chan is right to be unmoved. Because in the short term, my method cannot pose a threat to her. On the contrary, if she uses the same method, it will greatly harm her original profits. After all, there are many more Gu immortals buying dragonfish from her than me. Fang Yuan thought. Yu Chan was very calm in this aspect, she had the demeanor of a general. But after a while, she will get anxious. He. Fang Yuan was very confident. The food path immortal formation he set up used many immortal Gu and expended immortal essence. It was not a small matter. But this method needed several generations of dragonfish, or even more than a dozen generations, to see results. Yu Chan was not anxious. Fang Yuan was even less anxious. As time went on, his advantage in the dragonfish business would increase. After retrieving his divine sense from jewel yellow skies, Fang Yuan came to the Gu refinement hall and met with Sixth Hair. Sixth Hair had a haggard appearance. He had done his best to refine Gu for Fang Yuan. Right now, he was at the final stage of heavenly secret Gu refinement. It was time for Fang Yuan to make a move. White light filled the Gu refinement hall. It was so bright that people could not open their eyes. Fang Yuan closed his eyes and slowly walked into the white light, only stopping when he reached the center of it. A dense aura assaulted his nose. It was like an extraordinary mortal, like an immortal yet not. It was somewhere in between. It was the final step of the transformation. We can begin. Fang Yuan adjusted his mental state as he transmitted to Sixth Hair. Sixth Hair counted down as he deactivated the refinement path immortal formation in the hall. Fang Yuan took over. Countless thoughts appeared in his mind. Wisdom path methods were activated one after another. He successfully took over the role of the immortal formation. Under his hard work, the surrounding white light condensed and shrank, forming a huge ring. The ring was parallel to the floor. It surrounded Fang Yuan and placed him at the center of the ring. Refinement path killer move, heavenly light rotation. First rotation. Fang Yuan willed and the ring started to rotate at an extremely slow speed. The first rotation was successful. Second rotation. Fang Yuan opened his eyes and used his gaze to push the ring. The ring's speed became faster and it started to spin. After a few minutes, the second rotation was completed. He entered the third rotation. Fang Yuan used his breath to move the ring. After a while, he succeeded. Fourth rotation, fifth rotation, sixth rotation. As time passed, Fang Yuan progressed steadily. He was actually at the final 7th rotation. It seems that sect leader has been training hard after that failure. He has put in a lot of effort. 6th Hare watched from the side. He understood this now. 7th rotation. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth. He used all his strength to rotate the ring. Right now, the ring had shrunk to the size of a basin. It floated above his head. Boom. With a soft hum, the ring suddenly shrank, and the entire ring directly shrank to a point. This dot was a GU. Rank 7 Heavenly Secret GU landed on top of Fang Yuan's head. I actually succeeded. Even the person involved, Fang Yuan, was surprised. He had failed the first time. To think that he would succeed the second time. After the surprise, Fang Yuan felt joy in his heart. Maybe it is because I used luck path methods. My luck is really good. Fang Yuan took the Heavenly Secret GU worm off his head and looked at it. At first glance, this immortal GU looked like a dragonfly, but looking closely, it looked like a willow branch. Heavenly Secret immortal GU was very long. It was the length of half an adult's arm. Its body was thin and long, like a willow branch. It was very soft. The willow branch had 7 wings on both sides. They were thin like veils. They were green in color. They looked like leaves. When it flew in the air, or rather, it was more appropriate to describe it as floating. Chapter 1486. Genius in 1 second remembers love go. TalkNet, providing you with exciting novels to read. Eastern Sea Seabed. I am ashamed, Yu Chan, you came all the way here but I was unable to help you in the end. Huaren smiled bitterly and said to Yu Chan. The two were about to part ways. Yu Chan came to Huaren for help, but because of Fang Yuan's perfect wisdom path defensive methods, not only did Huaren fail to deduce anything, he even exposed Yu Chan's situation. Hearing Huaren's ashamed words, Yu Chan shook her head. She looked at Huaren's white hair and said sincerely, Huaren, don't say that. For my sake, you didn't hesitate to sacrifice your lifespan to perform divination. I, Yu Chan, will remember this kindness. I did not succeed because the opponent was too strong. Huaren nodded. Your opponent this time is not simple. No matter what, I did not help you much this time. If you need any help in the future, you can come and find me. As long as you don't mind my low wisdom path attainment. Hey, you. Yu Chan smiled. Huaren's promise made her eyes brighten. The haze in her heart dissipated. The two bid farewell. Yu Chan flew quickly in the sky. The incoming wind caused her sleeves to flutter. Using this layer of cold wind, she was as calm as ice. Although the opponent is strong, I will not give up like this. Although Huaren did not deduce anything, it does not mean I am powerless. It is time for me to retaliate with my own methods. Yu Chan made up her mind. She looked at the sky and sea with determination. Yu Chan made a new move. Fang Yuan soon received the information. He had been paying attention to Yu Chan. Yu Chan added a new rule to her dragonfish business. As long as regular customers bought dragonfish from her, they would get a discount. For 10 years, as long as they bought dragonfish from her for a few years, the discount would increase. Once she used this method, she immediately stabilized the situation. Many customers who were lured away by Fang Yuan also returned to her. Yu Chan's method made full use of her advantage. She was bullying Fang Yuan, who was a newbie in the dragonfish business. If Fang Yuan were to use the same method, the effect would definitely not be as good as Yu Chan's. Not only did Yu Chan do that, but she also increased the stock of arowanas. She injected more arowanas into the jewel yellow skies, and they almost piled up into a mountain. All sorts of desolate beast arowanas could be said to have formed schools. She was blatantly displaying her family's strong capital. This two-pronged approach immediately produced excellent results. The public opinion in jewel yellow skies was almost completely on Yu Chan's side. Yu Chan is indeed the #1 powerhouse. I didn't expect her to be so strong in the field of arowana. That challenger is probably a little stupid now. No matter who he is, there's still a gap between him and Yu Chan. Yu Chan has been in power for a long time. Her #1 throne is not so easy to challenge. Let's wait and see for a while more. I have a feeling that this mysterious challenger is not that simple. Some GU immortals were waiting for Fang Yuan's reaction. But in the following period of time, Fang Yuan did not make any movements, as if he did not receive any news of Yu Chan's counterattack. Fang Yuan continued to sell the arowanas according to his previous rules. Even though his business had just started to improve, it suffered a huge blow now. Yu Chan's current strength far surpasses me. I am weak now. If I fight her to the death, it would not be wise. Even Fang Yuan himself, after seeing Yu Chan's methods, had to admit that his foundation in the arowana business was far inferior to Yu Chan. Fang Yuan had only raised arowanas for a short period of time, but Yu Chan had been raising them for much longer. This was a difference in accumulation. Fang Yuan could not catch up to her in a short period of time. Fang Yuan endured Yu Chan's counterattack and provocation. This made those GU immortals who were observing give up on Fang Yuan completely. Only Yu Chan herself did not have any wishful thinking. Fang Yuan's inaction made her feel surprised, and even worried. An unsheathed sword was the most terrifying, because if Fang Yuan moved or reacted, Yu Chan could use Fang Yuan's actions to plan a counterattack. But Fang Yuan was not moving. Yu Chan did not know what she was planning. It was natural for her to be worried. Then should I chase after him while I'm ahead? Force him to react? Yu Chan thought about it, choosing the safer method. Forget it. The current situation is extremely advantageous to me. If this goes on, in a few months, the situation that this mysterious opponent has been working on will collapse and be completely lost. Why should I be anxious in such a situation? He should be the one anxious. Yu Chan cultivated water path. She knew the principle of being virtuous like water. Going too far was as bad as not going far enough. Fang Yuan continued to observe for a few days. He soon realized that Yu Chan was also biding her time. He praised in his heart. He understood. In this dragonfish business, he had encountered a troublesome opponent. However, Fang Yuan was not anxious. For the dragonfish business, he already had a complete plan. As time goes on, my advantage will increase. I should endure it for now. Immortal Aperture Management was stuck at the dragonfish business, but this did not hinder Fang Yuan's other cultivation methods. His soul foundation had already risen to the level of 80 million man soul. He should have reached 100 million man soul already, but during this period of time, Fang Yuan had been practicing the immortal killer move Split Soul. His soul was often injured and his foundation was expended. But this way, Fang Yuan's gains were increasing the number of Split Soul killer moves. During this period, he even used the Light of Wisdom to modify the activation steps of Split Soul. Other than Split Soul, Fang Yuan was also practicing other soul path killer moves. But these killer moves were much weaker than the original versions, because he did not have enough immortal GU. Fang Yuan's current focus was on Heavenly Secret Immortal GU. Different from most GU immortals, every time Fang Yuan obtained an immortal GU, his strength would increase rapidly. This was because he had inherited a vast number of inheritances. He did not lack the methods to use immortal GU. Heavenly Secret Immortal GU was created by Old Man Inkstone. Inkstone was also a split soul of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. Fang Yuan took out Heavenly Secret Immortal GU. Heavenly Secret Immortal GU flapped its 7 pairs of wings, floating in front of Fang Yuan. Until now, every time Fang Yuan saw this immortal GU, he would sigh at his luck. He did not expect that he had only refined Heavenly Secret twice, but he succeeded on his second try. This was a rank 7 immortal GU. This success was very lucky. Fang Yuan felt like it was a dream when he thought about it. If he had to do it again, he had no confidence. This success could not be replicated. Refining immortal GU was like this. It could make the GU immortal's emotions fluctuate. Sometimes, when refining GU, even if one failed 100 times, success was still far away. Sometimes, when refining GU, 1 or 2 tries were enough to succeed. Fang Yuan had experienced many unsuccessful refinements. He had also experienced Heavenly Secret Immortal GU's success this time. He could not say for sure when it came to GU refinement. This was a trap. Different from other immortal GU, immortal killer moves that revolved around Heavenly Secret Immortal GU were very rare. This was because Old Man Inkstone had not created heavenly secret immortal GU for many years, and because of the Shadow Sect's grand plan, Old Man Inkstone needed to plan it thoroughly. He had only designed a few killer moves. Among them, the most important one, and also the one with the highest value, was exposing heavenly secret. This killer move could actually predict the contents of heavenly tribulations and earthly tribulations in advance. The significance of this was huge. As long as the prediction succeeded, there would be countermeasures against it. The success rate of the GU Immortals tribulation would rise rapidly. This was an immortal GU that had a huge impact on the entire GU Immortal world. Maybe in the future, I can do such a business. Fang Yuan had a thought. Once this kind of business formed a good reputation, even if it didn't make a lot of money every day, it would definitely be able to eat for 3 years if it didn't open for business. There would definitely be a huge market for it. However, in the current situation, Fang Yuan thought about it and decided to forget about it. Because he did not intend to expose his immortal GU now. His greatest enemy was the Celestial Court. In these 10 years, he needed to do his best to stop the Celestial Court from repairing Fate GU. Right now, even though he was developing rapidly, he was still far from this goal. He could not see any hope of success. In this situation, Fang Yuan needed to use Heavenly Secret Immortal GU as his trump card. If he did business, the Wisdom Path GU Immortals of the Celestial Court were not to be trifled with. They would definitely be able to find out about this situation. Thus, Fang Yuan decided to hide Heavenly Secret Immortal GU and keep it a secret. Not wanting to waste a single second, Fang Yuan started to practice his killer move. This killer move used Heavenly Secret Immortal GU as the core, but it was not exposing Heavenly Secret, it was Heaven's Will Dissipation. In the short term, Fang Yuan did not need to practice exposing Heavenly Secret. Because earthly calamities and heavenly tribulations were not scary, they were easy for him to pass. At rank 7, the only risk was the Grand Tribulation. And he was still a long time away from the Grand Tribulation. Heaven's Will Dissipation was a Wisdom Path killer move. It used Heavenly Secret Immortal GU as the core. It targeted Providence and could cleanly get rid of Providence. This move was created by Old Man Inkstone, but he did not succeed, so it ended up in Fang Yuan's hands. Heaven's Will Dissipation was only an incomplete move. Fang Yuan practiced it for a while. The incomplete move naturally would not succeed, but this experience made him more familiar with the profundity of Heaven's Will Dissipation. He could not help but praise Old Man Inkstone's talent. With Heavenly Secret Immortal GU's guidance, Providence could be directly attacked by GU Immortals, or even erased. However, there were still many hurdles to overcome, and he was still a long way from success. But these were not important to Fang Yuan. His Wisdom Path attainment level was not as high as Old Man Inkstone, but he had the foundation. His greatest advantage was that he could use the Light of Wisdom. Wisdom GU once again displayed the incredible power of a rank 9 immortal GU. Several days later, Fang Yuan completed Heaven's Will Dissipation. Chapter 1487. Genius 1 second. Remember if you want to go. Sure, Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. This immortal GU looked like a cicada. Its head and abdomen were brownish-yellow in color. There were tree ring-like markings on the surface. Love Go Small Say Neck. The wings on its back were wide and translucent, like 2 overlapping leaves. It was constantly emitting the aura of a rank 6 immortal GU. It was rank 6 time path immortal GU, Spring-Autumn Cicada. At this moment, Spring-Autumn Cicada was in the aperture of the immortal zombie body, being sealed by Fang Yuan. Its body exuded a warm, oily glow. Its wings were light green, like 2 fresh leaves that had just sprouted. All of this indicated that the Spring-Autumn Cicada's condition had been completely restored, and it could be used again. If it had just been reborn, the Spring-Autumn Cicada's torso would not have any luster. It would look rough and dull, like a dead tree. Its wings would also be filled with a withered yellow color, like withered leaves in autumn. Moreover, the tips of the wings were slightly curled up and incomplete, like the edge of a fallen leaf. The Spring-Autumn Cicada had a great origin. It was an immortal GU personally created by one of the 10 Venerables in human history, Red Lotus Demon Venerable. Furthermore, it was the vital GU of the Red Lotus Demon Venerable, and its status was extremely important. Its effect was to let the GU Immortal sacrifice everything and use it to move through the river of time. It would carry the GU Immortal's will and go against the flow, to be reborn in the past. There were pros and cons. The Spring-Autumn Cicada's power could be said to be marvelous, but at the same time, it also had a huge drawback. Once one became the master of the Spring and Autumn Cicada, one's luck would be constantly weakened. Simply put, the Spring and Autumn Cicada would bring bad luck. At this moment, as Fang Yuan looked at the Spring and Autumn Cicada, he was filled with emotion. This was the connection between his previous life and this life. Without the Spring-Autumn Cicada, there would be no Fang Yuan now. If one had to ask a question, which immortal GU had the greatest significance to GU immortals? This question differed from person to person. Every GU immortal had their own answer. But to Fang Yuan, he only had one answer, and that was the Spring and Autumn Cicada. Let's not talk about the previous life and just talk about this life. On Mount Qingmaro, Mount Sanwen, and the blessed land of the imperial court, the Spring and Autumn Cicada had repeatedly displayed its prowess. It was indeed worthy of the reputation of the Red Lotus Demon Venerable's natal GU. It had repeatedly allowed Fang Yuan to turn the tables in desperate situations and escape with his life. Love go small say neck however, after the Battle of Yitian Mountain, the Spring-Autumn Cicada was lost. Although Fang Yuan obtained the Spring and Autumn Cicada again, he already knew that the Spring and Autumn Cicada contained providence and could not be used. Fang Yuan broke away from Providence's control and became an enemy of the heavens. Along with Providence's Spring and Autumn Cicada, he was directly put on the list of forbidden items. To bring out the value of the Spring and Autumn Cicada once again, Fang Yuan had to expel the Providence from the Spring and Autumn Cicada. If he didn't expel it, there would be no hope for him to be reborn in the future. Providence would directly kill Fang Yuan. Now, let me see how good this killer move is. Fang Yuan murmured, his eyes shining brightly. Immortal killer move, Heaven's Will Dissipation. Fang Yuan prepared for a while, his whole body was covered in a layer of grey-white light. Next, he used his hand that was covered in the grey-white light and lightly placed it on the immortal zombie body. The grey-white light was like flowing water. It flowed around his body and completely covered the Strength Path immortal zombie body. The grey-white light lasted for a while before it started to change. Eyes started to appear in the grey-white light. These eyes were multicolored. It could be said that they were extremely dazzling. They first appeared around Fang Yuan's palm, before increasing in number and spreading in all directions. Soon, these multicolored eyeballs covered the immortal zombie body. They continued to blink. Each time they blinked, they changed into a different color. Next, the multicolored eyeballs spread into the aperture. Finally, Spring and Autumn Cicada's surface was also covered in a layer of tiny multicolored eyeballs. The multicolored eyeballs continued to blink. Each time they blinked, it was an exquisite attack that targeted Providence. Spring and Autumn Cicada started to vibrate. The multicolored eyeballs kept on appearing and disappearing. Fang Yuan continued to expend red date immortal essence, causing the multicolored eyeballs to appear endlessly. Spring and Autumn Cicada shook even more intensely. After the shaking continued for a while, Fang Yuan saw that a fine crack had appeared on Spring and Autumn Cicada's surface. Love go small say net W. His heart sank. He quickly stopped the killer move. Puff. His body shook like he was struck by lightning. The killer move stopped too quickly. Fang Yuan was injured. But this light injury could not compare to Spring and Autumn Cicada's safety. Fang Yuan ignored his injuries. He quickly inspected Spring and Autumn Cicada. The crack on Spring and Autumn Cicada was not obvious, but Fang Yuan had a vigilant and meticulous nature. The moment the crack appeared, he discovered it. The appearance of the crack meant that Spring and Autumn Cicada was injured. Almost all GU worms were very fragile, be they rank 6, 7, or even 9. Spring and Autumn Cicada was Red Lotus Demon Venerable's vital GU, but it was no exception. After inspecting it carefully, Fang Yuan's expression was grim. Providence. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth. Spring and Autumn Cicada's injury was not heavy, Thanks to his timely discovery, this small injury could not even be considered a light injury, so it was easily dealt with. But he could not continue using heaven's will dissipation. If this continued, the cracks on spring and autumn cicada would become larger and larger, until it was destroyed. Providence's influence on spring and autumn cicada was far more severe than Fang Yuan had expected. Fang Yuan pondered for a while and thought of a way to resolve this. There were two paths in front of him now. The first path was to continue modifying the immortal killer move heaven's will dissipation, so that it could eliminate Providence without harming spring and autumn cicada. The second path was to use Shadow Sect's method, using refinement path methods to first refine spring and autumn cicada before reverse refining it. During the GU refinement process, Providence would be eliminated. Both of these methods had flaws. Modifying heaven's will dissipation was rather difficult. In fact, it was not easy for Fang Yuan to deduce heaven's will dissipation. It was close to the limits of his abilities. It was not impossible to continue making breakthroughs in this aspect, but the time, energy, and resources needed would be huge. And Shadow Sect's GU refinement method was only an idea. It was very difficult to realize. Providence's influence on spring and autumn cicada was so deep, and GU refinement itself was very risky. During this process, as long as Providence messed with it, accidents would occur frequently. It seems that combining these two methods is the safest way to resolve this. Fang Yuan thought for a long time. He decided to use both methods at the same time. Fang Yuan moved quickly. He soon arrived in front of Wisdom GU. I will have to rely on you again. Wisdom GU circled around Fang Yuan for a while, before silently emitting the light of wisdom. Bathed in the light of wisdom, Fang Yuan activated many wisdom path methods with ease. In a split second, raging waves were set off in his mind. Countless thoughts rose and fell, vast and endless, colliding with each other and giving rise to countless sparks. Red Date immortal essence was rapidly expended. Fang Yuan's forehead was soon covered in sweat. The difficulty of the deduction was very high. It could be seen from Fang Yuan's frown. 1 incense stick of time, 2 incense sticks of time. After a full 8 incense sticks of time, Fang Yuan stopped. He let out a breath of turbid air. His face was pale. He had used all his strength in this wisdom path deduction. His head was aching, his soul was dim, and his vision was turning black. After resting for a while, Fang Yuan recovered a little. He continued to use the light of wisdom to make deductions. The deduction was very difficult. Wisdom Path Grandmaster attainment level could not help Fang Yuan much, because this was beyond his limits. Fang Yuan was forcefully using the light of wisdom to make breakthroughs. But Fang Yuan had a persevering nature. He did not waver. He did not have any thoughts of retreating. He even placed his soul path cultivation and killer move practice aside. Most of his time and energy was spent on wisdom path deductions. He did not rest or sleep, but even with so much effort, his progress was slow. But Fang Yuan persevered. As long as there is progress, even though there is little progress each day, what if it accumulates over a few days, a dozen days, or even a few months? With such perseverance and willpower, Fang Yuan attacked this difficult problem with all his strength. During this period, his dragonfish business gradually had a breakthrough. Sovereign immortal aperture, dragon scale sea area. Countless dragonfish formed schools and swam in the sea. The dragonfish looked like a red carp, but it was much larger. The desolate beast dragonfish was even larger. It was a giant in the water. But the dragonfish's battle strength was publicly known to be at the bottom. It was not worth looking forward to. After this period of time, a special dragonfish appeared in Fang Yuan's dragon scale sea area. This dragonfish was slightly smaller than normal dragonfish. Its scales were also dimmer. They had a metallic texture, like dark red copper. The copper dragonfish has finally reproduced. Fang Yuan inspected it. He was satisfied. Dragonfish were not natural species. They were created by a food path GU immortal. The one who created the dragonfish was none other than the Beastman ancestor who created Food Path. Fang Yuan had inherited this Beastman GU immortal's inheritance from Shadow Sect. He had a deep understanding of dragonfish. The dragonfish in the market had Food Path Dao marks, but they were mixed with Dao marks of other paths. It was a mess. But if the inheritances method was used to nurture them, they could be improved generation after generation. They would produce better dragonfish species. Like this copper dragonfish, it was a completely new species that surpassed ordinary dragonfish. The reason for this was the food path immortal GU formation that Fang Yuan had painstakingly set up. Fang Yuan saw that he had a lot of copper dragonfish. He placed a portion of them in Jewel Yellow Sky's market. If I had just started my dragonfish business, no one would care about this small portion of copper dragonfish in the market. But some time ago, I started selling dragonfish. Yu Chan even retaliated. The other GU immortals now know that I am doing dragonfish business as well. Hee. Fang Yuan thought of this and laughed. He did not need to guess to know what kind of reaction these copper dragonfish would have after entering Jewel Yellow Sky's market. Chapter 1488. Genius 1 second. Remember if you want to go. TalkNet, providing you with exciting novels to read. Several days after the copper dragonfish was released, Jewel Yellow Skies was already in an uproar. What dragonfish is this? Copper dragonfish? A brand new species? According to the seller, this copper dragonfish has better effects than ordinary dragonfish. Haha, this is going to be a good show. That's right, I thought that Yu Chan had already defeated this seller. To think that after lying low for so long, he actually made such a sharp counterattack. The appearance of the copper dragonfish is beneficial to all of us. We can deduce that this seller has a food path true inheritance. Many GU immortals were envious and jealous, especially those GU immortal experts. The problem of feeding immortal GU was not just limited to Fang Yuan. Food path true inheritances were something many GU immortal experts wanted, but they did not have the opportunity. However, Jewel Yellow Skies was very safe. Even the Celestial Court could not do anything about it. These GU immortal experts directly went to the will left behind by Fang Yuan. They directly talked about the food path true inheritance, expressing their strong desire to buy it. No matter who it was, Fang Yuan ignored them. He had too many inheritances. If he released them, the market would explode. He would earn a lot of money. But that would be like giving resources to his enemies. In the upcoming Great Era, the 5 regions' chaotic war would start. Anyone could become Fang Yuan's enemy. And the Celestial Court was already his sworn enemy. Investigate, find out the identity of this seller. Even though Fang Yuan refused to look, some people did not give up. Some rank 8 GU immortals decided to collect information and clues about Fang Yuan. They would deduce it themselves, or ask other wisdom path GU immortals for help. He was innocent, but he was guilty because of his wealth. Those who could worry about feeding immortal GU were mostly because they had many immortal GU. With so many immortal GU, these GU immortals were elites among the same cultivation level. And the food path true inheritance was not as simple as solving the problem of feeding immortal GU. There was also the dragonfish business. The appearance of the copper dragonfish made the GU immortals realize that with the help of the food path true inheritance, this business had huge potential. However, they were destined to fail. Fang Yuan's wisdom path defensive methods made even Hua An, one of the 3 great wisdom path experts in Eastern Sea's GU immortal world, fail. The Celestial Court and the Court of Providence were helpless. In the past, Fang Yuan had gone into hiding in order to conceal his divination. The current him had already begun to ignore such trouble. Yu Chan was holding a very ordinary copper arowana in her hands. From time to time, the copper arowana would twist its body. Yu Chan's hands were trembling slightly, and her expression was extremely ugly. This small and inconspicuous copper arowana was a huge threat in Yu Chan's eyes. This was far more terrifying and serious than Fang Yuan's ruthless price reduction. I didn't expect this opponent to be able to use such a counterattack. Amazing, truly amazing. My previous worries were completely correct. After a while, Yu Chan calmed down and sighed repeatedly. The appearance of the copper arowana was a direct threat to her arowana business. It was a huge threat to Yu Chan. The situation had become very dire for her. In fact, not just her arowana business, all the arowana businesses in the world were facing a strong challenge from the copper arowana. I have already experimented many times. The copper arowana is indeed of higher quality than ordinary arowana. The reason is that it has more food path Dao marks. What should I do? Yu Chan pursed her lips. She had a solemn expression. She had a strong nature. After accepting the reality, she felt a strong sense of unwillingness. I have cultivated for so many years, how can I admit defeat so easily? The arowana business is my main source of income. If it collapses, it will be a huge threat to my cultivation. I cannot admit defeat like this. Right, I, Yu Chan, am not a weak woman. How can I admit defeat like this? Since he can raise the copper arowana, why can't I? Yu Chan clenched her fists, her eyes shined with bright light, intense fighting spirit surged in her chest. She wanted to give it a try and see if she could improve the copper arowana herself. Only then would she be able to fight against this mysterious enemy. Otherwise, she wouldn't even have the qualifications to fight against an ordinary dragonfish. Yu Chan was not blindly confident. She had her food path foundation. She had inherited a food path inheritance. It was just that it was not as orthodox as Fang Yuan's. Even though food path was rare, the creator was definitely not the only food path GU immortal. Because Yu Chan obtained nourishment from the food path inheritance, she chose the arowana business as her main source of income. In fact, she had been trying to improve the quality of the arowana as well. It was just that she had not made any breakthroughs. But now, the results of the dragonfish modification are right in front of me. I did not make any progress earlier because my food path attainment was insufficient. Now that I have a finished product like the copper arowana, I can reverse engineer it. If I still can't do it, I might as well kill myself. Hehe, you might not have expected this, but your copper arowana has become a fortuitous encounter for me to improve. Yu Chan was filled with fighting spirit. She actively researched the copper arowana. In the following days, she went crazy, forgetting to eat and sleep. On the other side, Fang Yuan was also working hard. He continued to deduce and solve the problem of spring-autumn cicada. He moved forward step by step, like a person who had just recovered from a serious illness, dragging his weak steps as he climbed up a steep mountain. There were many difficulties. But no matter how difficult it was, Fang Yuan's ambition could not be stopped. He moved forward steadily, even though each step was difficult and had little results. As he accumulated, the results became more and more satisfying. During this process, Fang Yuan once again experienced the power of the light of wisdom. The more he used it, the deeper his emotions became. Bathed in the light of wisdom, Fang Yuan had endless inspiration, all of them pointed in the right direction. Fang Yuan's wisdom path grandmaster attainment level was barely supporting him. In a blink of an eye, half a month passed. On this day, Fang Yuan waved his arms and roared loudly. Success! He finally succeeded. He found a way to solve spring-autumn cicada. Almost at the same time, Eastern Sea. In the windless Dragonfish Sea region, waves suddenly appeared. At the bottom of the sea, Yu Chan excitedly waved her arms, looking at the surging waves in front of her, expressing her joy. I did it. I managed to create a brand new species of copper arowana. Even though I need to rely on the other party's copper arowana, as long as I have one or two, I can breed even more. I will not lose this dragonfish battle. Chapter 1489. Genius 1 second. Remember if you want to go. TalkNet, providing you with exciting novels to read. Sovereign Immortal Aperture, Mini Southern Border, Heaven Ceiling Mountain. This was a small and unassuming mountain. The belly of the mountain was hollow. There was a GU formation set up to seal the strength path immortal zombie body. Thus, it was named Heaven Ceiling Mountain, meaning to seal providence. At this time, Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal body was floating in the air, looking down at this heaven-sealing mountain. Beside him, there was a GU immortal. It was the variant human GU immortal Sixth Hair. Bringing Sixth Hair into his sovereign immortal aperture was something that Fang Yuan had considered deeply. Normally speaking, an immortal aperture was an extremely important and secretive place. It was the foundation of a GU immortal's cultivation. It would not be shown to others easily. But Fang Yuan had already brought all of the Shadow Sect GU immortals into his immortal aperture. Sixth Hair was also a member of Shadow Sect. he was trustworthy. During this period of time, Sixth Hair had racked his brains to refine immortal Gu for him. This action was engraved deeply in Fang Yuan's mind. Moreover, Sixth Hair and Ying Wuxie had always been in contact. They were both members of Shadow Sect. They knew about the sovereign immortal aperture's existence. Ying Wuxie had even entered the immortal aperture before. There was no need to hide it from Sixth Hair. I am going to start the Gu refinement. Fang Yuan breathed in deeply and said. Sixth Hair nodded. Sect leader, go ahead, I will do my best to assist you. This Gu refinement involved spring-autumn cicada. It was extremely important. Fang Yuan needed the help of a refinement path Gu immortal like Sixth Hair. In fact, a few days ago, Fang Yuan had borrowed many refinement path immortal Gu and mortal Gu from Lang Ya sect. He placed these Gu worms down and formed a refinement path immortal formation. This refinement path immortal formation was already set up, it was just waiting for Fang Yuan to activate it. Fang Yuan willed, red date immortal essence was continuously expended as the immortal Gu formation started to activate. Waves of white light rippled on the heaven-sealing mountain like flowing water. A moment later, Fang Yuan started to multitask, activating a refinement path killer move. Boom! With a loud bang, the air was pushed apart, and a pillar of golden light suddenly blasted down from the sky. The golden light pillar was majestic and powerful. Wherever it passed, the flowing water and white light were all pushed aside. It landed on the heaven-sealing mountain and directly penetrated the mountain rocks, stabbing deep into the hollow of the mountain. Fang Yuan's immortal zombie body was placed inside the mountain. The golden light pillar accurately struck the immortal zombie body, directly suppressing him. His immortal zombie body started to creak. As time passed, he would be unable to bear the burden. Therefore, Fang Yuan made good use of his time. After stabilizing the golden astral beam, he took out a live desolate beast. Crack! A beam of sword light shot out, and the wild beast's head rolled off. It died on the spot. Puff! A large amount of blood gushed out from the desolate beast's neck like a huge red fountain. The smell of blood spread, and under Fang Yuan's control, the golden light pillar burst out with a strong suction force. The blood of the desolate beast was drawn by a formless force, and was sucked into the golden light pillar. As for the desolate beast's corpse, it quickly became shriveled as its blood was completely sucked dry. After the golden light pillar absorbed the blood, it was mixed with a trace of red. This color caused the originally majestic pillar of light to look a little strange and bloody. Kill, kill, kill. Next, Fang Yuan slaughtered desolate beasts for 7 days. His expression was cold as steel, he showed no mercy. The golden light beam sucked all of their blood dry, turning them completely into crimson red light beams. Their appearances changed drastically. Sixth Hair nodded as he watched. He recognized that this step that Fang Yuan used was the 7-kill blood path Gu refinement method. This method was Lang Ya sect's inheritance. Sixth Hair knew its name, but did not know the details. Fang Yuan used Shadow Sect's inheritance to exchange for Lang Ya sect's inheritance, and obtained this Gu refinement method. He disassembled this method and extracted its essence. He modified it and used it here. It was very suitable. Even Sixth Hair nodded inwardly, praising in his heart. Fang Yuan started to control the bloodlight pillar with all his strength, while Sixth Hair also started. This time, Sixth Hair was assisting Fang Yuan in the Gu refinement. He had a huge responsibility. Both sides had communicated beforehand. Sixth Hair did not need Fang Yuan to remind him, he knew what to do. He took out the Gu materials that he needed. These Gu materials were all flowers. There were ghost face sunflower, steel wire cotton, smallpox flower, 7 treasure flower, milk tea flower, iron shell flower, boat flower, blood poison apple, multicolored overlord flower, green beetle water lotus, red axe flower, smelly fly flower, and so on. There was a dazzling array of flowers of all sizes. There were mortal and immortal Gu materials. Sixth Hair started to use refinement path methods to process these flowers. The processing of Gu materials required a lot of knowledge. Every type of flower basically had its own treatment method. Thankfully, Sixth Hair cultivated refinement path. He had rich experience in Gu refinement. He was also a split soul of spectral soul. he had deep foundations. It was Fang Yuan's wise decision to let him process these flowers. Time passed, and after the time it takes an incense stick to burn, Sixth Hare finished processing the flowers in his hands. He did a good job. The flower materials were carefully selected, they were not wasted, their essence was extracted and fused, forming a lump of 100 flowers liquid. At this moment, Fang Yuan condensed the bloodlight pillar. The huge light pillar that seemed to connect heaven and earth had shrunk to the size of a tree trunk. The water is here, catch it. Sixth Hare pushed with both hands. The floating flower liquid floated in the air like a huge translucent bubble, floating towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan stretched out his hand and lightly hooked, successfully controlling the 100 flowers condensate in his hand. Next, he breathed in deeply, causing the wind and clouds to change. Strong winds blew, dark clouds started to form in the sky. Fang Yuan gave a shout, he waved his hand and sent all of the 100 flowers liquid into the sky. The 100 flowers condensate was thrown into the dark clouds, and soon after, the dark clouds in the sky were dyed pink. Swish, swish, swish. A torrential rain started to fall. Fang Yuan's expression was solemn as he moved his fingers. His 10 fingers were like shadows as they flew around. The pink flower rain was drawn by a formless force, a portion fused into the blood pillar, a portion fused with the immortal zombie body, and the majority was absorbed by the refinement path immortal formation. The air was filled with the fragrance of flowers. The blood-colored beam of light that resembled a tree trunk shrunk until it completely disappeared. Fang Yuan willed, the refinement path immortal formation started to activate rapidly. It was no longer slow like before. When refining immortal GU, it was very convenient to have a refinement path immortal formation. In the 500 years of Fang Yuan's previous life, he did not have one, but in this life, he had a vast amount of refinement path immortal formation knowledge. He even went one step further, using his Grandmaster formation path attainment level and the light of wisdom, he could modify these refinement path immortal formations and deduce the most suitable refinement path GU formation for the current situation. The refinement path immortal formation continued to activate. Using the flower liquid, it created a temporary connection, connecting the immortal zombie body, spring-autumn cicada, and many GU materials together. Using this chance, Fang Yuan opened an inner door of the immortal formation. From the door, a piece of wood floated out. This piece of wood was shining like gold, but looking closely, it was still made of wood. There were dew droplets on the wood, it was like amber. Several small auspicious clouds were appearing and disappearing on the surface of the wood. This was the immortal material golden cloud divine wood. Like the other GU materials, it had already been stored in the refinement path immortal formation by Fang Yuan. It had been bathed in the 100 flowers liquid. The refinement path immortal formation rumbled, the golden cloud divine would soon disintegrated and turned into nothingness. At the same time, wooden markings appeared on the surface of the immortal zombie body, similar to the golden cloud divine wood. There were dew droplets on it, they were like amber. There were also several fist-sized auspicious clouds that appeared on the forehead of the immortal zombie body at times, while disappearing at the waist of the immortal zombie body at other times. Fang Yuan let out a breath of air, saying to Sixth Hare, "Replace me." Sixth Hare had been resting after processing the 100 flowers liquid. He quickly took over Fang Yuan's position and took control of the immortal GU formation. Fang Yuan was freed. He immediately sat down and used every second of his time to rest. Even though the GU refinement process seemed to be progressing smoothly, it was not easy. Every step was like walking on thin ice. The immortal essence expenditure was huge. His mind was also under huge pressure. Even with Fang Yuan's strength, at this stage, he could not hold on any longer. If he continued, it would be very dangerous, it would be very harmful to the GU refinement. Thus, Fang Yuan directly rested and let Sixth Hare replace him to continue the GU refinement. Normally speaking, the GU immortal in charge of the GU refinement could not be changed easily. Because if it was someone else, the immortal essence and aura would be different, there would be many disadvantages to the GU refinement. Chapter 1490. Genius in 1 second. Remember Love Go? TalkNet, providing you with exciting novels to read. Fang Yuan rested for half a cup of tea's time before opening his eyes. His stamina had recovered and his eyes were no longer as dizzy as before. His mind was clear and his condition was much better. Sixth Hare saw that Fang Yuan was here to replace him and heaved a sigh of relief. The exchange was perfect. They had practiced this step many times before. At this moment, Fang Yuan's strength path immortal zombie body seemed to have completely turned into a human-shaped golden firmament divine wood. Fang Yuan started the next step. The refinement path immortal array opened another door and a giant sea urchin flew out. This sea urchin was as big as a house and its surface was filled with spikes as if it was made of purple gold. On its body surface, there were billions of bright spots that were flickering. This was the purple myrtle star urchin, a rather rare immortal material. Under the operation of the immortal array, the purple myrtle star urchin was shrinking at a visible rate. Everything was progressing smoothly. But suddenly, from the purple myrtle star urchin, a dazzling starlight burst out. The starlight bounced around like a bullet, constantly shooting out. The refinement path immortal array shook intensely. Fang Yuan had a grim expression as he tried his best to stabilize the situation. However, his efforts were minimal. The number of starlight pellets had already increased from 1 to 3. As the number increased, the refinement path immortal array shook even more intensely. It was even giving off creaking sounds. Oh no! Sixth Hare knew that things were not going well. He hurriedly shouted, "Dark thought, scarlet snake flower blooms." A thought appeared in Sixth Hare's mind. On his skin, scarlet snake tattoos started to rise. Originally, the scarlet snake tattoo was only on his chest, but now, it rose and coiled around his neck. At the same time, Sixth Hare's strength surged and his eyes continued to shoot out bright light. Even Fang Yuan looked at him in shock. Sixth Hare directly charged over and helped Fang Yuan to control the refinement path immortal array. Under his help, the starlight bullets were destroyed one after another. The danger is over. After a long time, Sixth Hare let out a breath of turbid air. His entire being became dispirited. Love go little say netk. Sect Master, we can only rely on you now. After saying that, he fainted on the spot. Fang Yuan was silent, his gaze paused on the scarlet snake tattoo on Sixth Hare's neck for a moment before focusing on the GU formation in front of him. Because of Sixth Hare's desperate rescue, the crisis of the GU refinement was resolved, and Fang Yuan could proceed to the next step. The immortal formation opened the third door and an immortal material flew out. This was a stone mountain, but the stone mountain was naturally carved with all kinds of faces. There were men and women, old and young, and they all had different expressions on their faces. Some were crying, some were roaring, some were serious, and some were smiling. Thousand-faced human stone. This was the most crucial step. Fang Yuan was fully immersed in the GU refinement. The thousand-faced man rock was affected by the GU refinement immortal formation and quickly turned into nothingness. But the illusory figures formed by human faces flew out and entered Fang Yuan's immortal zombie body aperture. Fang Yuan's aperture was originally full of cracks, but right now, its appearance had changed greatly. The cracks on the aperture walls were filled up, and a thick layer of purple gold rock skin was formed. There were countless shining stars on the rock skin, and there were also sharp spikes protruding out, looking very similar to the purple star urchin from before. The human faces flew around in the aperture, and under Fang Yuan's control, they pounced towards the spring-autumn cicada at the center. Spring-autumn cicada had already been sealed by Fang Yuan, and was motionless. A human face shadow flew past, passing through spring-autumn cicada and flying out again. Spring-autumn cicada shook lightly, and was as stable as before. The human face shadow flew for some distance, and during this process, it gradually melted like snow under the sun. Eventually, it turned into nothingness, and only a small thread-like object was left. This thread-like object contained the will of the heavens. Every time the human face shadow flew past, it was a short process of refining spring-autumn cicada. When the human face shadow flew away, it would also take away a small portion of providence from spring-autumn cicada. The human face shadows passed through spring-autumn cicada, and brought out the sealed providence. These providence threads were quickly extracted by Fang Yuan, and were dispelled in the refinement path immortal array. This process lasted for a while, and the human face shadows could no longer be brought out of providence. Providence is much more stubborn than I expected. Fang Yuan sighed. This time, he directly controlled several human face shadows to pounce at Spring-Autumn Cicada. The human face shadows heavily covered Spring-Autumn Cicada, and then gritted their teeth, pulling out threads from Spring-Autumn Cicada's body. The heavens was sealed into the state of a thread and was being pulled out intermittently. Spring-Autumn Cicada continued to tremble, but it was very safe, and no cracks appeared. The refinement path immortal array that Fang Yuan painstakingly deduced was very effective against Spring-Autumn Cicada. After repeating this tens of times, no matter how many human face shadows Fang Yuan controlled, he could not pull out any threads from Spring-Autumn Cicada. But Fang Yuan could sense that in the deepest part of Spring-Autumn Cicada, there was still a tiny bit of providence left. This bit of providence was very small, but Fang Yuan did not dare to leave it here. Providence is indeed troublesome, I still have to take this step. Fang Yuan sighed, and suddenly activated the refinement path immortal array to its maximum power. On the aperture shaped like a crepe myrtle star urchin, countless spikes grew rapidly, and stabbed towards Spring-Autumn Cicada from all direction. There were hundreds of slender spikes, and they directly stabbed into Spring-Autumn Cicada. Spring-Autumn Cicada was not destroyed, and instead melted into jade-green liquid droplets. The spikes seemed to have a habit, and these liquid droplets were absorbed by the slender spikes. In the end, only that bit of providence was left in Spring-Autumn Cicada's original position. Fang Yuan quickly eliminated it. Next, the jade-green liquid droplets were squeezed out by the slender spikes again, and condensed into a ball at the center. Fang Yuan stared angrily, and felt that it was very strenuous, and he could barely maintain the situation. The refinement path immortal array was operating to its limit, and a large amount of red date immortal essence was completely expended at this moment. The jade-green liquid droplets gradually formed, and finally returned to Spring-Autumn Cicada. It was safe and sound. The only difference was that after the decomposition and condensation, there was no longer any providence in its body. Originally, Shadowsek's method was to first advance the Spring-Autumn Cicada, then reverse refine it, and eliminate providence. But after Fang Yuan's modification, it was directly changed to the parallel refinement method. The success rate of parallel refinement was much higher than the advance refinement. But even so, the process was filled with difficulties, and there were even twists and turns. Fortunately, Sixth Hair acted in time, and helped Fang Yuan tide over the difficulties. Looking at the Spring-Autumn Cicada quietly floating in his aperture, Fang Yuan was filled with gratification. At this point, the rank 6 Spring-Autumn Cicada was successfully refined. And Fang Yuan had truly grasped this legendary immortal GU. Crack, crack. The aperture was filled with such noises. Cracks did not appear on Spring-Autumn Cicada's body, but the purple-gold rock skin and spikes were rapidly spreading. Fang Yuan watched quietly. He could not stop this, and he did not want to stop it. The rock skin and spikes shattered, and at the same time, the aperture itself also shattered. Fang Yuan's aperture could be said to have gone through many trials and tribulations. It had to bear the pressure of Spring-Autumn Cicada, and was even turned into a stone aperture and dead aperture by Fang Yuan. At this moment, it finally reached its limit, and completely collapsed. This was the consequence of Spring-Autumn Cicada's parallel refinement. It could not be exempted, and Fang Yuan did not want to be exempted either. Let's undergo the tribulation like this. Fang Yuan laughed heartily, and from the side of the immortal formation, a lump of soul suddenly flew out. The soul was extremely fast. It quickly entered Fang Yuan's immortal zombie body. The immortal zombie body opened its eyes, and nodded at Fang Yuan. What occupied the body was also Fang Yuan's soul. He used a split soul method, and successfully split the soul, forming the first split soul. Fang Yuan smiled, and immediately used the immortal killer move strength, reversing life and death on the immortal zombie body. This was a method he had created a long time ago. It was an imitation of blazing heaven demonis killer move Nirvana fire, and could allow immortal zombies to return to human form. At this moment, The strength-reversing life and death that Fang Yuan used had been modified. It was even more outstanding, and not weaker than Nirvana fire. The immortal zombie body quickly returned to normal, and 2 lifespan GU were thrown out by Fang Yuan. The immortal zombie body stretched out its hand, and accurately grabbed the lifespan GU, directly using it. Fang Yuan's body was at the final juncture of Imperial Court Blessed Land. Because it was bathed in the light of wisdom, its lifespan was almost depleted. Now that it replenished the lifespan GU, its lifespan was immediately replenished. It was not afraid of dying of old age after returning to human form. The aperture shattered, the sovereign immortal aperture immediately surged, heaven and earth chi were connected. But Fang Yuan did not want his clone to undergo tribulation in the sovereign immortal aperture, thus he opened the immortal aperture's entrance. The clone immediately flew out, and welcomed the calamity and tribulation. Next, Fang Yuan's main body stored the sovereign immortal aperture, and came to the outside world. This was a nameless desolate land in northern plains. After Fang Yuan's secret inspection, there were few people here, and it was quite safe. Immortal ascension calamities and tribulations were very terrifying to most GU masters. Saying that they had a slim chance of survival was already an exaggeration. But to Fang Yuan, it was a piece of cake. Be it the coordination of heaven, earth, and human chi, or resisting calamities and tribulations, Fang Yuan was very familiar with them. Heaven, however, was extremely furious. Fang Yuan actually controlled spring-autumn cicada. This was simply touching Providence's reverse scale. It sent down the highest limit of calamities and tribulations. However, it was useless. Fang Yuan easily dispersed the calamities and tribulations, and protected his clone's tribulation, advancing to immortal once again. Last time, it was strength path, this time, it was time path. His first aperture became a high-grade time path blessed land. Fang Yuan named it spring-autumn blessed land. It did not have many space path resources, but it was very rich in time path resources. Originally, there were dark clouds above, but now, the sky was clear, and sunlight shone down. Fang Yuan and his clone floated in the sky, looking at the boundless grassland. They were silent. The 500 years of bitterness and hardship in his previous life, the involuntary arrangements of Providence after rebirth, the desperate resistance in the face of despair, the exhaustion of saving Danghun Mountain, feeding immortal GU, managing the immortal aperture, and deducing killer moves. All of these turned into smiles, appearing on Fang Yuan's and his clone's lips. The past was like smoke, all of the hardships were just this smile. Chapter 1491. The clone passed the tribulation and became a time path rank 6 GU immortal. Meanwhile, Fang Yuan's main body was still a rank 7 GU immortal. He had 27 immortal bodies and cultivated all paths. Having a clone was very beneficial to Fang Yuan. Many things, especially the management of the immortal aperture, could be left to the clone to handle. This was something that Fang Yuan had absolute trust in. It was far more effective than any shadow sect member. Especially when both sides were one, their thoughts and wills were completely the same, there were no conflicts in communication, there were even very few errors. Looking at the strength of shadow sect, one could see the power of a split soul. Shadow sect had many members, but they were all united. They did not care about individual sacrifices, because they were one body, they were all one person. In order for the clone to become a rank 6 GU immortal, Fang Yuan had paid a huge price. First, he had to deduce the method. He spent a lot of time and energy, then he refined spring-autumn cicada and used up a batch of immortal materials. After creating the clone also needed to cultivate. Even though it was not the main point, he still needed to invest in it. Because of the split soul, Fang Yuan's main body's soul fell from 10 million man-soul to 9 million man-soul. It was a huge decrease. Fang Yuan had to continue accumulating his soul foundation. Fortunately, he had 2 sacred lands. He made rapid progress in this aspect. It did not hinder Fang Yuan's development. And this clone of Fang Yuan, because it had Fang Yuan's split soul, could be considered as half an otherworldly demon. The physical body came from this world, it was bound by fate. Fang Yuan could not do anything about this. Unless he could imitate Shadow Sect and refine another sovereign immortal fetus GU for his clone to use. Shadow Sect had accumulated for 100,000 years to refine one sovereign immortal fetus GU, it was basically impossible to refine a second one. In the following days, Fang Yuan's main body rested as usual, his clone was inside the self-cleansing immortal GU formation, getting rid of the strength path Dao marks on his body. Fang Yuan had originally ascended to a strength path GU immortal from his second aperture. After turning into an immortal zombie, his immortal aperture crumbled and the strength path Dao marks were left on his body. Fang Yuan decided to use self-cleansing to help the clone get rid of unnecessary strength path Dao marks. The clone's immortal body was not special, the Dao marks on it interfered with each other. After careful consideration, Fang Yuan decided to let the clone cultivate time path. Previously, Fang Yuan considered cultivating both strength path and time path because he did not have the sovereign immortal body. Now that he had the sovereign immortal body and immortal aperture, his future cultivation focus would be on them, the clone was just a supplement. Therefore, the plan to refine a second aperture for the clone was cancelled. An extra aperture would be an immortal aperture when he ascended to become an immortal. Since Fang Yuan chose to cultivate time path, this immortal aperture naturally had to cultivate time path as well, but what was the use of that? To Fang Yuan, an additional superior or special grade blessed land was useless. Because instead of developing this blessed land, he might as well put all his effort into the sovereign immortal aperture. Meanwhile, Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture was only 4% developed, it was vast and had little resources, it needed to be managed. Or maybe the biggest use of having an extra immortal aperture is to have a quota for a vital GU. Fang Yuan thought. The greatest benefit of a vital GU was that even if the refinement failed, the vital GU would not be destroyed. Vital, the life of a GU worm was connected to the GU immortal. Of course, if the refinement failed and the GU immortal died, the vital GU would also be destroyed. Currently, Fang Yuan's need for vital GU was very small. He had many immortal GU, the most important was Spring-Autumn Cicada, which was already his vital GU. Other than helping Fang Yuan handle some miscellaneous matters, the clone was also to ensure that Spring-Autumn Cicada would not be destroyed in the future GU refinement process. You're awake. Fang Yuan looked at Sixth Hair who was lying on the bed. Sixth Hair slowly opened his eyes, still feeling weak. After seeing Fang Yuan, the first thing he asked was, "Sect leader, did the GU refinement succeed?" "Yes." Fang Yuan nodded. "That's great." Sixth Hair smiled, saying in relief, "This way, the second phase of the GU refinement plan has succeeded." In the first phase of the GU refinement, Fang Yuan refined Cleanse Soul, Self-Love, and Snack. In the second phase, Fang Yuan refined Spring-Autumn Cicada and Heavenly Secret GU. In order to refine GU, Fang Yuan paid a huge price. All in all, his luck was quite good, some GU immortals did not even succeed once after 810 attempts. Among them, Fang Yuan had the Luck Path True Inheritance and Luck Path Immortal GU, they helped him a lot. On the other hand, Lang Ya sect played an important role, if not for the help of Land Spirit of Langya and Sixth Hair, how could Fang Yuan's GU refinement plan achieve such great results? "What's with the scarlet snake tattoo on your body?" Fang Yuan's gaze was deep and eerie. "This is nothing." Sixth Hair's gaze flickered. "While you were unconscious, I had already probed, this refinement path killer move seems to directly reduce your lifespan to raise your refinement path strength. If I am not wrong, when these scarlet snake tattoos cover your head, you will die." Fang Yuan said directly. Sixth Hair was silent for a while. "Sect leader is right. My life is not to be regretted, I only hope that sect leader can attack the Celestial Court and save my main body." Celestial Court. Fang Yuan raised his head, sighing as he looked at the sky. Sixth Hair quickly said, "Sect leader, don't be discouraged, it is true that the enemy is strong, but now that you have Spring-Autumn Cicada, it is only a matter of time before you inherit Red Lotus True Inheritance. Red Lotus Demon Venerable's True Inheritance is likely to contain a method to win against the Celestial Court. After all, back then, Red Lotus Demon Venerable's True Inheritance is likely to contain a method to win against the Celestial Court. After all, back then, Red Lotus Demon Venerable's True Inheritance is likely to contain a method to win against the Celestial Court. After all, back then, Red Lotus Demon Venerable was an immortal venerable seed chosen by the Celestial Court. Fang Yuan nodded. He knew everything that sixth hair knew. Right now, it was very difficult for him to stop the Celestial Court from repairing Fate Gu within 10 years. But if he relied on Red Lotus True Inheritance, there might be a trace of hope. Since Spring-Autumn Cicada was already completely under Fang Yuan's control, finding Red Lotus True Inheritance seemed to be the next step of his plan. But Fang Yuan shook his head. I am not in a hurry to find Red Lotus True Inheritance. My strength can still continue to rise rapidly. The Celestial Court will not let me receive Red Lotus True Inheritance. They must have already made arrangements in the River of Time. Even though the Celestial Court could not find Fang Yuan, they knew that he would definitely enter the River of Time to obtain Red Lotus True Inheritance. Fang Yuan did not need to think to know that the Celestial Court would definitely set up an ambush in the River of Time. Finding Red Lotus True Inheritance was a must, but the prerequisite was not only to gain full control of Spring-Autumn Cicada, but also to have enough battle strength to allow Fang Yuan to break through the Celestial Court's ambush. In this aspect, Fang Yuan still needed to work hard. Tell me the contents of this refinement path killer move that you created. I will deduce for you and get rid of the repercussions of this killer move. Don't sacrifice yourself so easily, sixth hair. Whether I can control Lang Ya sect in the future will depend on you. Sixth hair's heart palpitated. He felt that it was true. He was helpless against his injuries, but that did not mean Fang Yuan could not. Especially when the light of wisdom could be used. The parallel refinement of Spring-Autumn Cicada and the clone's tribulation were naturally done in the wilderness. After keeping the clone in the Sovereign Immortal Aperture, Fang Yuan and Sixth Hair returned to Lang Ya Blessed Land through the teleportation Gu formation. After entering Lang Ya Blessed Land, they were under the constant surveillance of the land spirit of Langya. Sixth Hair and Fang Yuan could not talk. They bade farewell to each other as Lang Ya sect's supreme elders. Fang Yuan did not return to his cloud city to rest. He went to Wisdom Gu directly. He opened his Immortal Aperture's entrance and his clone flew out. The clone was still alive. Wisdom Gu had no reaction. But soon, as the clone activated strength-turning life and death killer move and turned back into an immortal zombie, Wisdom Gu circled around him in confusion. What is it? Fang Yuan's heart jumped. Wisdom Gu only circled around him. It did not emit the light of wisdom. Fang Yuan's clone spoke. Oh Wisdom Gu, I am the person who made the agreement with you. Have you forgotten our agreement? Wisdom Gu floated in front of Fang Yuan's clone. It seemed to be assessing him. It also seemed to be hesitating. After a long while, it lay on the leaf again, emitting the light of wisdom. Fang Yuan let out a sigh of relief. It was truly dangerous. Wisdom Gu almost refused to acknowledge Fang Yuan's identity. I became a time path Gu immortal. My cultivation level rose. My strength path Dao marks were also removed. I also have a split soul. These might have caused Wisdom Gu to hesitate. Regardless of the reason, I need to be careful in the future. Even if my clone's cultivation level stagnates, I need to maintain it. I cannot give up on the light of wisdom. Fang Yuan was a little depressed. The Wisdom Gu in the Legends of Ren Zhu was very intelligent. It had even successfully harmed Ren Zhu. Why was it so simple and stupid in his hands? It did not have the elegance of Wisdom Gu at all. Chapter 1492. Sixth Hair's problem was much more difficult than Fang Yuan had imagined. The 20-path refinement killer move he created was called Refinement Snake Lifespan Flower. Not only did it contain refinement path profundity, it also involved the karma of rule path. Sixth Hair was able to create this move because he had obtained inspiration from an incomplete Gu refinement move in Lang Ya sect's treasury. Fang Yuan deduced for a while and found, Refinement Snake Lifespan Flower was not so easy to break. If he was not careful, Sixth Hair might die on the spot. Thus, Fang Yuan had to change his strategy and plan slowly. If my refinement path attainment level is higher, the time needed to deduce Refinement Snake Lifespan Flower will be much shorter. Fang Yuan would not focus all his energy and time on it like when he deduced Heaven's Will Dissipation Refinement Path Immortal Formation. Hence, Sixth Hair's prediction would undoubtedly take a long time to see results. However, Sixth Hair was not in a hurry. As long as he did not use this killer move, He would be able to maintain it and would not die. While deducing, Fang Yuan continued his soul path cultivation. Danghun Mountain and Luopo Valley were worthy of being soul cultivation sacred lands. Fang Yuan's main body's soul foundation rose rapidly again. But his clone did not cultivate in this aspect. The reason was because of conflicting Dao marks. Danghun Mountain and Luopo Valley were filled with soul path Dao marks, be it Guts Gu or Luopo Wind. They were adding soul path Dao marks to Fang Yuan's soul in essence. Fang Yuan had already set a limit on the amount of souls in the clone. If he increased the soul foundation any further, it would interfere with his time path cultivation. Thus, Fang Yuan did not even let his clone use Ghost Official Garment. As for how to defend against Providence, Fang Yuan had a corresponding time path method, but the effect was inferior to Ghost Official Garment. But time path methods were the same as his clone's main cultivation direction, thus the advantages outweighed the disadvantages. And because Fang Yuan's main body's Dao marks did not conflict, he could cultivate all kinds of paths. But even so, he had to pay attention to killer moves of different paths. For example, the effects of the Ghost Official Garment had been greatly affected by ghostly concealment. Other than deducing the problem of sixth hair and the time path killer move to defend against Providence, Fang Yuan also had to modify luck path killer moves. Wisdom path, sword path, and soul path killer moves had already been modified to the limits of his abilities. Now it was luck path's turn. Fang Yuan had many outstanding luck path inheritances. Other than those miscellaneous ones, the most important was Giant Sun Immortal's self-luck true inheritance and all living beings' luck true inheritance. Among them, Fang Yuan had obtained the complete content of the former, while the latter was incomplete. And Fang Yuan's luck path immortal GU were luck, chi luck, luck inspection, connect luck, and time luck. They were all rank 6. This was not suitable for Fang Yuan. After all, Fang Yuan was already at rank 7. Fang Yuan would not advance the rank of the luck path immortal GU for now. He only had one focus in GU refinement, that was Spring Autumn Cicada. Rank 6 Spring Autumn Cicada could only revive rank 6 GU immortals. Fang Yuan had rank 7 cultivation level now. He needed a rank 7 Spring Autumn Cicada. Or, he could use rank 6 Spring Autumn Cicada as the core to create a rank 7 immortal killer move. The advancement of Spring Autumn Cicada was still in its initial stage. Sixth Hair was in charge of organizing all the immortal GU recipes and gathering the necessary GU materials. Fang Yuan did not forget to practice killer moves. He had already modified soul path killer moves. He was even more proficient in them now. Fang Yuan would also take out the previous wisdom path killer moves and sword path killer moves from time to practice them. Fang Yuan was clear that only by working hard and not complaining about the hardships would he be able to use them freely in battle. If he failed to activate the killer move at the crucial moment, it would be embarrassing. Among all the killer moves he practiced, Wisdom Path Killer Move Exposed Heavenly Secret was the most important. This killer move used Heavenly Secret GU as the core. It could deduce the contents of the GU Immortal's next calamity and tribulation. Of course, it had its limits. For example, right now, Fang Yuan could not deduce what his next grand tribulation would be. He needed to wait for some time before he could deduce it. Other than Exposed Heavenly Secret, Fang Yuan's Creation of Heavens Will Dissipation killer move also needed to be practiced. This killer move could be said to be Fang Yuan's greatest achievement in deducing killer moves during this period of time. Fang Yuan would not give up. Exposed Heavenly Secret allowed Fang Yuan to understand himself and the enemy. He could deduce Providence's thoughts. As for Heaven's Will Dissipation, it was a more direct countermeasure. But it needed to be modified, because it took a long time to prepare. It could only be used behind the scenes. It could not be used in battles where every second mattered. Red Date Immortal Essence was barely enough. His Immortal Yuan Stone reserves were already depleted. And Shadow Sect's members were developing well. Using Tai Chiu, they gradually accumulated. Their losses from the southern border battle had already been replenished. They even improved. They hunted desolate beasts, ancient desolate beasts and others, but Fang Yuan only took their souls, leaving their corpses behind. These were all immortal materials. They could be sold for a good price. Fang Yuan did not touch their profits. On one hand, He did not care about these small profits. On the other hand, he wanted to maintain the order of Shadow Sect. At the crucial moment, Fang Yuan could borrow resources from them to deal with emergencies. Fang Yuan would not be careless about this. But if he made a move now, it would disrupt their development. It would be more detrimental than beneficial to the big picture. Even though he inherited the Shadow Sect inheritance and had a deeper understanding of the Celestial Court, there were still many things that Fang Yuan did not know. Against such a huge entity, the Shadow Sect strategy in Fang Yuan's previous life was the best example to follow. Thus, other than cultivating, Fang Yuan also started to make arrangements. He had more or less connections with the 5 regions now. In Northern Plains, even though he was wanted by the righteous path like Longevity Heaven, the Variant Human Alliance was completely integrated into them because of the engagement. Right now, Fang Yuan was very close to them. The problem now was that Fang Yuan lacked funds. A series of GU refinement, cultivation, killer moves, and so on were expending his capital rapidly. Even though he was living frugally and had Red Date Immortal Essence to replenish himself, Fang Yuan's progress was still very fast. Right now, his capital could not keep up with Fang Yuan's development needs. In this aspect, Fang Yuan's breakthrough was the dragonfish business. But not long ago, Yu Chan also sold copper dragonfish. This surprised Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan soon accepted this fact. Dragonfish was different from Guts GU. New products could be sold and their profundities could be unraveled before they could be nurtured. This was like how Fang Yuan modified the light shine fungi. He could modify other people's products, others could also modify his. For a business like Guts GU, there was no one else but him. This was what every GU immortal desired. Thus, it was not strange for copper dragonfish to appear in other people's hands. Fang Yuan was only slightly surprised at Yu Chan's speed of deciphering it. Several days passed in a flash. Immortal killer move years like sun. The tributary of the River of Time in the Sovereign Immortal Aperture expanded rapidly. The river water flow rose rapidly. The Sovereign Immortal Aperture had a lot of time path resources to begin with. Now that years like sun was added on, the time flow became even faster. This way, calamities and tribulations appeared even more frequently. But Fang Yuan was not afraid. He ignored all earthly calamities and heavenly tribulations. As for grand tribulations, with heavenly secret GU and exposed heavenly secret, what did he have to fear? The increase in time path resources led to the production of all sorts of other resources. Especially dragonfish. In Dragon Scale Sea area, a large number of dragonfish swam around. Most of them were ordinary red dragonfish, about 30% were copper dragonfish. Other than that, there was also a trace of darkness. These are iron dragonfish. Fang Yuan smiled. With this formation, his dragonfish could be modified without needing to do any research. Chapter 1493. Iron Dragonfish. Yu Chan breathed in deeply, trying to calm herself down, but soon, she gave up. Her gaze wavered, her expression was a little dazed. Fang Yuan released the iron dragonfish into the market. It caused a commotion in jewel yellow skies. Dragonfish had a market to begin with. There was a huge demand. It was not that no GU immortals had tried to modify dragonfish, but they all failed. This was because the food path had never been spread well from start to finish. But this time, Fang Yuan actually modified the dragonfish twice in a row. GU immortals were astute people. They immediately realized the meaning behind the dragonfish modification. It meant that Fang Yuan had deep food path attainment, or he had inherited a food path true inheritance. Others could understand this. Yu Chan was no exception. This was the reason why she suffered such a huge blow. Her heart was in turmoil. A small iron dragonfish wasn't much, but the meaning behind it was like a mountain weighing down on her heart, making it difficult for her to breathe. No matter what, I cannot give up like this. However, I've already exhausted all of my resources to improve the copper arowana fish. I cannot modify the iron dragonfish in a short period of time. What should I do? Yu Chan knew her limits. She knew that she could not deal with Fang Yuan with her own strength. Soon, the figure of another person appeared in her mind. Don't tell me. I have to ask her for help. Yu Chan hesitated, her eyes were shrouded in a dark haze. Several days later, in White Crane Sea area. There was a gentle breeze here, the sea was calm like a mirror. The blue sky and white clouds were clearly reflected on the surface of the sea. Between the sky and the sea, there were countless white cranes, they were either flying or stretching their bodies gracefully, resting on small islands. It was a peaceful scene. But at the center of this sea area, the owner of this sea area opened his mouth and laughed loudly. He was very happy. Ha ha ha, Yu Chan, oh Yu Chan, you finally made up your mind. Qin Bai he was in high spirits. She laughed loudly while looking at Fairy Yu Chan. Her gaze was overbearing and filled with a strong sense of invasion. Yu Chan snorted coldly and shifted her gaze away from Qin Bai he, feeling rather displeased. Qin Bai he was the lord of the White Crane Sea region. She was beautiful, tall and slender with an elegant neck and long legs. She was one of the 6 great beauties of Eastern Sea along with Yu Chan. However, unlike other beautiful fairies, Qin Baihe did not like men. She preferred female fairies. She built a rank 6 immortal Jiyu house in White Crane Sea area. She named it Baihe Palace. She raised a large number of women inside and formed her harem. They stayed with her day and night, they were intimate with each other. Qin Baihe walked forward and held Yu Chan's hands, an expression of extreme pleasure appeared on her face. So smooth, Yu Chan, do you know how long I have been lusting after you? How long have I desired you? From now on, you are the empress of my lily palace. Me. Yu Chan wanted to pull her hand out, but Qin Baihe held it tightly. Yu Chan's face was as cold as frost. She snorted coldly, let go of me. Qin Baihe obediently let go. Now that the alliance was set, she knew that Yu Chan was trapped, she could not escape from her grasp. At this moment, she was not in a hurry to force her. Qin Baihe had a lot of time and energy to slowly enjoy Yu Chan. After Yu Chan pulled back her hands, she quickly took 2 steps back. Qin Baihe, don't forget what you promised me. Qin Baihe chuckled, of course. The iron dragonfish is a problem that neither of us can solve in a short period of time. However, as long as the 2 of us work together, harmoniously harmonizing with each other, we will definitely be able to overcome this obstacle. That person who is making things difficult for you will not be happy for long. Yu Chan nodded. Qin Baihe's words were not nonsense. Yu Chan had known her for many years, she knew a lot about her. Immediately, Yu Chan stayed in Baihe Palace. The 2 worked together, they did not rest, they put all of their mental energy into the iron dragonfish. Yu Chan had to do her best. Most of her income came from the dragonfish. She could not give up on the dragonfish business. If she did, it would affect her cultivation greatly. Jiyu immortals needed to maintain their strength and continue to grow. If they did not grow well, they would be in danger when facing calamities and tribulations. Even if they did not die in the calamities and tribulations, as long as they were heavily injured, it would be a vicious cycle. The Jiyu immortal would get weaker and weaker, eventually dying from the calamities and tribulations. More than 10 days later, an iron dragonfish appeared in Baihe Palace. Looking at this iron dragonfish, Yu Chan almost cried tears of joy. Because this iron dragonfish was not bought from Jewel Yellow Skies, it was purely raised by her and Qin Baihe working together. This iron dragonfish meant that Yu Chan had the methods to raise large numbers of iron dragonfish. I haven't lost this business war with the dragonfish. Yu Chan tried to cheer herself up. I was not wrong about you after all. Chan, do you know how mesmerizing I am when you are serious? At the side, Qin Baihe looked at Yu Chan with deep emotions. Yu Chan's joyful expression vanished immediately, her expression turned cold. We cannot be careless, the other party is very mysterious. He threw out copper and iron dragonfish, his food path foundation is very deep. We have only deciphered it now, at most, we are on the same level as him. I understand what you mean, Chan. You are worried that the other party will take out even more outstanding dragonfish species? Qin Baihe's expression turned solemn. Their worries became reality a few days later. Silver dragonfish. Fang Yuan threw out his 3rd attack. The silver dragonfish had denser food path Dao marks than the iron dragonfish. This time, the commotion in the market of Jewel Yellow Skies was even greater. it affected a lot of people. Many GU immortals noticed this. A large number of GU immortals started to investigate Fang Yuan. Of course, they could not find out anything. The appearance of the silver dragonfish was a huge blow to Yu Chan and Qin Baisheng. The two famous beauties of the East Ocean were dumbfounded. After researching, the silver dragonfish's excellence made them feel pressured. The previous iron arowana fish had already exhausted them. If they wanted to solve the problem of the silver arowana fish this time, it would take them a few years to fully concentrate. Otherwise, it would be impossible. Furthermore, Yu Chan and Qin Bai could not put all their effort into the silver dragonfish. They needed to socialize, they needed to rest, they needed to cultivate, they needed to manage their immortal apertures, they needed to practice killer moves, and so on. Success in raising the silver dragonfish was just a matter of time for Fang Yuan. But for Yu Chan and Qin Bai, they needed to do a lot of research. Compared to the iron dragonfish, the silver dragonfish was much harder to decipher. It's over, I am no longer that person's match, I can only give up on the dragonfish business. I will do it completely, I will not hold back. Even if Yu Chan had a strong personality, she was completely disheartened by Fang Yuan. The difference in strength between them made Yu Chan unable to see any hope of victory. Qin Bai was also helpless, she almost bit her lips until they bled. She was unable to help her sweetheart, this made the prideful Qin Bai feel very sad. But just as the two female immortals were in despair, an unexpected huge existence suddenly intervened. This huge organization was none other than the Celestial Court. It turned out that the Celestial Court had not given up on investigating and pursuing Fang Yuan all along. Even though they could not find Fang Yuan's location, the Celestial Court's fairy myrtle was not to be trifled with. When Fang Yuan sold the copper dragonfish, he had already attracted her attention. When Fang Yuan sold the iron dragonfish and silver dragonfish in the Jewel Yellow Skies market, fairy myrtle paid even more attention. Even though she was not completely sure that this mysterious person who sold the modified dragonfish was Fang Yuan, she would rather kill the wrong person than let him go. When spectral soul demon Venerable was alive, he inherited the source of food path true inheritance. Fang Yuan became the new leader of the Shadow Sect, he inherited the Shadow Sect's inheritance, he naturally also inherited that food path true inheritance. Dragonfish are food path's signature product. Over the years, the species of dragonfish have not changed. This GU immortal who continuously modified the dragonfish species is likely to be Fang Yuan himself. Fairy Myrtle knew, spectral soul demon Venerable had a huge empire, he did not care about the profits from the dragonfish, he did not like to manage his businesses, he used killing to solve his problems. But Fang Yuan was different. The more she understood Fang Yuan, the more Fairy Myrtle paid attention to Fang Yuan. This otherworldly demon was adaptable, he was skilled in both literature and martial arts, if he had a chance to develop and cultivate, he would definitely become a huge threat. Thus, after thinking about it, Fairy Myrtle did not hesitate, she directly intervened and helped Yu Chan and Qin Bai. On one hand, Fairy Myrtle did not want to show herself and go to the front. On the other hand, by helping Yu Chan and Qin Bai, she could interfere in Eastern Sea. During the Five Regions chaotic war, she would be able to gain some advantage, it was killing two birds with one stone. Wisdom Path GU immortals knew how to gain the most benefits. Celestial Court was a huge force, they had an unimaginably deep foundation, even Food Path had a lot of income. Even though they lacked the Food Path inheritance, they had many other inheritances. With Celestial Court's help, Yu Chan and Qin Bai his morale soared, they did not rest for dozens of days, they actually succeeded in modifying the silver dragonfish. This way, Yu Chan also had the silver dragonfish. This was out of Fang Yuan's expectations. Chapter 1494. Inside the Sovereign Immortal Aperture. Mini Eastern Sea. Dragon Scale Sea Area. A GU immortal's sleeves were fluttering as he floated in the air, looking down at the sea below him. He had an ordinary appearance but his aura was outstanding, his eyes were deep and dark, emitting an aura of vicissitudes. It was Fang Yuan's rank 6-time Path GU immortal clone. At this moment, The sea water was turbulent, waves were rising and falling, but there was no sea breeze. My sovereign immortal aperture has not experienced any changes in the weather yet, so there are no winds and clouds. And the reason why there are waves in this dragon scale sea area is because of the immortal formation that my main body set up back then. The time path clone muttered in his mind. Right now, dragon scale sea area was the #1 sea area in the sovereign immortal aperture. Fang Yuan invested a huge amount of resources into it. The time path clone looked carefully and saw that in the surging waves, there were countless dragonfish moving about. They were densely packed, their numbers were terrifying. Fang Yuan had invested a huge amount of resources, and with the sovereign immortal aperture's abundant time path resources, as well as his food path methods, the dragonfish were reproducing rapidly, their numbers were increasing rapidly. Not only were there ordinary dragonfish, there were also a large number of copper dragonfish, iron dragonfish, and even some silver dragonfish. Fang Yuan's clone's gaze pierced through these dragonfish. He only looked towards the depths of the dragonfish group. Soon, his expression turned to joy. He found his target. This was a dazzling golden dragonfish. Its body was covered in dense and thick golden scales. Its eyes were no longer lifeless like other dragonfish, they were filled with lively spirituality. Compared to other dragonfish, it was the smallest. It was not even the size of a normal person's palm, it was quite small. But in the observation of Fang Yuan's clone, this golden scale dragonfish was filled with food path Dao marks. There were almost no other Dao marks. Even though it was small, the aura it emitted was that of a true ancient desolate beast. Other dragonfish could only reach desolate beast level at most, but golden dragonfish could reach ancient desolate beast level at most. This could not be underestimated. This meant that after the dragonfish reached golden scales, they had truly broken through the limits of their original species, they had broken through the shackles and reached a whole new level. At this point, the golden arowana has been nurtured from the arowana. This can be considered the limit. Fang Yuan's clone sighed deeply. The ancient golden arowana swam in the sea. The other arowanas around it, whether they were ordinary arowanas, desolate beast arowanas, copper arowanas, iron arowanas, or silver arowanas, were all circling around it. The ancient golden arowana was the natural king of the arowana population. Once it appeared, countless low-tier arowanas would follow and protect it. Even though I'm the one who raised the arowanas, my control over the school of arowanas isn't as high as the ancient golden arowanas. Fang Yuan's clone's eyes flashed. He was very concerned about this point. It could be said that if the ancient golden arowana and Fang Yuan were to compete for this school of arowanas, Fang Yuan would definitely not be as influential as the ancient golden arowana. As long as this ancient desolate beast appeared in the school of dragonfish, it would attract all the dragonfish to follow it wholeheartedly. However, it doesn't matter. The ancient golden arowana rules over all the other arowanas, while I lead the ancient golden arowana. Unfortunately, the arowanas do not have much combat power. Even the ancient golden arowana is one of the weakest ancient desolate beasts in terms of combat power. Hence, these arowanas can only be sold. Time passed quickly. In a blink of an eye, half a month had passed. These days, Yu Chan had a torturous time. Although she had researched the silver arowana, she had relied on Qin Bai He, Celestial Court's help, and of course, Fang Yuan's silver arowana. Hence, although Yu Chan was able to raise silver arowanas, in terms of production, she was far inferior to someone like Fang Yuan. In the Jewel Yellow Skies market, Fang Yuan was still suppressing Yu Chan in terms of the arowana business. The silver arowanas' effects were too good. Fang Yuan did not raise the price, so the other arowanas did not have much of a competitive edge. And the scale of Fang Yuan's silver arowana sales was much larger than Yu Chan's. Both sides' strength was clear at a glance. Fang Yuan had the clear advantage. However, Yu Chan did not give up, she was still persevering. She defended herself tenaciously. White Crane Sea Area. Qin Bai He cheered, "Ha ha ha, we finally solved this problem, our methods have improved again. This way, the production of silver arowana will increase by a lot." Yu Chan had a haggard expression, but there was joy in her eyes. This was the result of her and Qin Bai He's hard work for half a month without rest, and with the help of Celestial Court. But, even with this result, the production of silver arowana is still not as fast as that opponent. Yu Chan sighed. Little Chan, don't worry. As long as we continue to work hard, silver arowana is not guts gu, it will be solved eventually. By then, our production will be on par with that person. Qin Bai he was optimistic. But even so, we are only on par with that person. It is too difficult to improve on this, we do not have the ability to do so. That means, we can at most maintain a draw with that person. And this is under the condition that the other party does not introduce new dragonfish species. Yu Chan shook her head. Qin Bai he wanted to say something, she wanted to console Yu Chan, but she could not say anything. Actually, the outcome of this battle was already clear at this point. Yu Chan was not Fang Yuan's match, she could only take a beating, and after that, she would try to catch up and maintain a draw. They did not have the power to fight back and win, unless some other powerful helper suddenly intervened and helped them. Celestial Court was such a force. Celestial Court had a large number of food path inheritances. But how could Fairy Myrtle help Qin Bai he and Yu Chan without any compensation? Both sides were foreign GU immortals. Qin Bai he and Yu Chan were very vigilant when working with Celestial Court. Meanwhile, Fairy Myrtle was thinking about how to lure these two into becoming Celestial Court's pawns in Eastern Sea's GU immortal world. The great era of the 5 regions chaotic war was coming, Celestial Court was going to make arrangements everywhere. This mysterious GU immortal selling dragonfish is probably Fang Yuan. Using his strength to suppress Yu Chan and Qin Bai he, Celestial Court will gain a lot of help. But, inside Celestial Court, Fairy Myrtle was also paying attention to jewel yellow skies. But what made her puzzled was that Fang Yuan did not make a move. Ever since he started selling the silver dragonfish, he did not do anything, he only continued to sell dragonfish. This made Fairy Myrtle feel that something was amiss. She knew that Fang Yuan was not someone who would give up easily. If this person is really Fang Yuan, he definitely has a backup plan. He is a ruthless person, he does not like to let others live. The current situation of the dragonfish business is not something he can accept. Just as Fairy Myrtle was thinking about this, Yu Chan's expression suddenly changed in Eastern Sea. What's wrong, Chan? Qin Bai he quickly asked in concern. No, this is bad. My dragonfish sea is being attacked by a GU immortal. The entire GU formation has been destroyed, I need to return immediately. Yu Chan shouted, she was extremely anxious. Even though she had many dragonfish in her immortal aperture, the majority of them were still in the dragonfish sea area. Dragonfish sea area was her main business, most of her assets were in it. Now that it was suddenly attacked, how could she do anything about it? Qin Bai he also realized the severity of this matter, she grabbed Yu Chan's hand. There is no time to lose, I will go with you. Don't worry, I want to see who has the guts to be so arrogant in front of us. The immortal GU house shot out like a rainbow, breaking through the sea surface. It carried the anger of the two fairies as it charged towards Dragonfish Sea area from White Crane Sea area. The two sea areas were not far apart. This was why Yu Chan was not worried and stayed with Qin Bai he. Thus, when they arrived at Dragonfish Sea area, the invading GU immortal had not left yet. Yu Chan's immortal GU formation was mostly destroyed. That GU immortal opened his immortal aperture's entrance and took in the dragonfish. Such guts. Even with Yu Chan's good mental state, seeing that the dragonfish that she had raised so painstakingly were taken away, she was furious, her brows furrowed deeply. Who are you? You dare to offend my woman, today is the day you die. Qin Bai he shouted as she transmitted to Yu Chan, be careful. This person is strange, look at his method of taking in the dragonfish, he seems to be very skilled. Even though Qin Bai he was furious, she did not lose her rationality, she could clearly judge the situation and observe the details. Yu Chan looked at where Qin Bai he was pointing and her heart jumped. She saw that the mysterious GU immortal did not use any immortal methods, he only controlled a small ancient desolate beast to make Yu Chan's dragonfish obediently follow him into the enemy's immortal aperture. Yu Chan observed carefully and was even more shocked. What is going on? This small golden-scaled ancient desolate beast seems to be a dragonfish. Golden, dragonfish? Is this person my opponent in dual yellow skies? Wait, according to the Celestial Court's instructions, this person is likely to be that Fang Yuan? Yu Chan had just thought of this when the Gu immortal who was collecting the dragonfish closed his immortal aperture, turning around to face the two furious fairies. You are finally here. I did not waste my time and wait for you to arrive. Here I am Fang Yuan, remember this name. Being able to know the name of your murderer before you die is my benevolence. After Fang Yuan said this, there was a loud sound as the surrounding world changed. An immortal battlefield rose up and trapped Yu Chan and Qin Bai He. Qin Bai He and Yu Chan were shocked. They looked at each other and saw their pale faces. Fang Yuan was a criminal who could fight rank 8. Why was he here? Wasn't he being chased by the Celestial Court? Who knows where he was hiding? How dare he? How dare he come out? Chapter 1495. Looking at the frightened Qin Bai He and Yu Chan, Fang Yuan's gaze was cold as ice. It seems that the Gu immortal world has been peaceful for a long time. Eastern Sea is famous for its rich resources. It has been peaceful for too long. My surprise attack this time really caught them off guard. If it was the 5 regions' chaotic war, the world would be in chaos. Every Gu immortal would be very vigilant. But before that, peace had been peaceful for a long time. Gu immortals cultivated mainly to manage their immortal apertures. They rarely took the initiative to fight to the death. Firstly, calamities and tribulations would occur in the immortal aperture every once in a while. Secondly, Gu immortals had complicated relationships with one another. They often had a huge impact on the situation. Thirdly, information was not complete. Gu immortals hid themselves deeply. A mystical immortal killer move could cause them to fail miserably. The risk was huge, the gains were small, thus, Gu immortals were not willing to fight to the death. But this situation was different for Fang Yuan. I have rank 8 battle strength now. Who cares what connections you have? I will kill you. What is there to fear? Battle strength was Fang Yuan's confidence, but so was his wisdom path attainment. If he committed a crime, he could just run away. The world was huge, even Celestial Court and Providence could not do anything to Fang Yuan, not to mention others. And the third aspect was information. Shadow Sect had a lot of information on the 5 regions. Qin Bai He and Yu Chan did not know about Fang Yuan, but Fang Yuan knew about them. As long as I get rid of Yu Chan, I will be the only one in the dragonfish business. My profits will be huge. Even if Celestial Court wanted to stop Fang Yuan, they could not do so in a short period of time. Because this resource needed a specific environment to be created, and it would take some time for it to bear fruit. Fang Yuan was like a cowardly tortoise earlier, developing and digesting his gains, raising his strength. Like a venomous dragon digesting the food it swallowed, now that it felt a trace of hunger, it would be fine if it did not move, but once it moved, it would be shocking. It directly crossed from northern plains to eastern sea, moving stealthily and suddenly attacking. Yu Chan and Qin Bai He were caught off guard. The 2 female immortals in front of him were like 2 pieces of fatty meat. Especially Yu Chan, she cultivated water path and had a water path immortal aperture. Fang Yuan's water path attainment level was Grandmaster. Annexing a rank 7 water path immortal aperture was a good thing. Yu Chan and Qin Bai He looked at Fang Yuan. They felt an intense killing intent that was mixed with greed and malice, assaulting them. The situation was critical. The 2 women were flustered and their hearts were beating wildly. They both knew that their situation was extremely worrying. Qin Bai He forcefully calmed herself down, transmitting to her companion, Chan even though we are rank 7 Gu immortals, even if we work together, we will not have much strength. We did not communicate with each other earlier. The effect of our cooperation will be very low. The enemy this time is exceptionally terrifying. We must not fight them head-on, we must think of a way to escape. Qin Bai He was afraid before the battle even started. She wanted to escape. There was no helping it. Fang Yuan's illustrious reputation had already spread throughout the 5 regions. Qin Bai He and Yu Chan were famous people in Eastern Sea, but how could they compare to Fang Yuan? Yu Chan agreed with Qin Bai He's words. The latter frowned and transmitted, I think so too. But now that we are trapped in an immortal battlefield killer move, How can we escape? This immortal battlefield was one entity. It was like a dark red egg that surrounded the three immortals. There were countless purple stars on the egg walls. They were dazzling and flickering. This scene was extremely beautiful, but in Yu Chan's eyes, there was no sense of appreciation. She wanted the egg walls to break and reveal a huge hole so that she could fly out. Qin Baihe continued, I have a method that can penetrate the immortal battlefield and forcefully connect to the outside world. We can get reinforcements. That's great. Yu Chan was overjoyed. Normally speaking, once one was trapped in an immortal battlefield, they would be isolated from the outside world. They could not even communicate with jewel yellow skies. But this relationship was like a spear and a shield. Between attack and defense, there was only a difference in strength. It depended on which side was sharper. If the spear was sharper, it could pierce the shield. If the shield was thicker, the spear would break the shield. Qin Baihe was one of the 6 great fairies of Eastern Sea. Yu Chan was also one of them. If they asked for help from the outside world, there would definitely be many people supporting them. In fact, they even had connections with Eastern Sea's rank 8 GU immortals. Even though asking for help would owe them favors or a huge debt, at this moment, their lives were at stake. They could not care less. All right, go ahead, I will protect you. Yu Chan's gaze was resolute as she stood in front of Qin Baihe. Qin Baihe took a deep breath. Her jet black and beautiful long hair suddenly spread out. In an instant, countless flower petals drifted down from her hair and formed a rain of petals that covered the sky. Qin Baihe's skin was white as snow. She was surrounded by the rain of flowers. She was like a fairy among flowers, beautiful and alluring. On Yu Chan's side, her aura surged to the sky. An immortal killer move was activated. Rain started to fall in the sky, forming into a thick fog that protected her and Qin Baihe within the rain. Fang Yuan floated in the sky, facing her with a calm attitude. Purple light flickered in his eyes as he smiled. Qin Baihe, if you want to communicate with the outside world, this killer move fragrant flower obscure language is not useful, don't waste your effort. Saying so, he willed, crackle crackle, countless purple stars fell, filling the sky. As the purple stars fell, Yu Chan's rain weakened. Qin Baihe's voice faded away. It was a pitiful sight. Fang Yuan used an immortal battlefield killer move. He had a huge terrain advantage. He created a wisdom path environment. Once activated, he suppressed water path and wood path. This immortal killer move of mine was created by using 3 rank 8 battlefield killer moves as a reference, as well as 18 other killer moves. It is named Purple Star Broken Life. It has no other advantages but one. It can conceal one's traces and cut off the communication between the outside and the outside. The inside is huge, but the outside is empty. Even if someone passes by, they will not discover this battlefield. Fang Yuan spoke slowly. His words made the 2 female immortals feel a chill in their hearts. Qin Baihe was shocked and uncertain. What shocked her was that her plan was seen through by Fang Yuan. The question was Fang Yuan's words true or false? Amazing. This Fang Yuan is skilled in scheming. He is not a reckless person. Qin Baihe thought for a while. She broke out in cold sweat as she felt how troublesome Fang Yuan was. Regardless of whether it was true or not, Fang Yuan's words had shaken her heart. It was more effective than most wisdom path killer moves. But Yu Chan had a firm heart. She shouted as she pushed her palms forward. Immediately, the rain moved. Countless crystal-like raindrops intertwined, forming a huge fish monster. Immortal killer move, Kuan Phase Rain. Fang Yuan snorted coldly. His gaze flickered as countless purple stars fell from his gaze. The fish monster and the 2 female immortals could not even raise their heads. This immortal battlefield killer move contained many of Fang Yuan's wisdom path immortal GU. It was very powerful. However, Yu Chan and Qin Baihe endured it with all their might. They were like rocks standing in front of the waves. That huge fish monster was destroyed by the countless purple stars, but as Yu Chan continued to use her killer move, it was replenished by the raindrops. Immortal killer move, Soul Beast Summoning. Fang Yuan willed as he summoned 5 ancient soul beasts. They pounced at the 2 female immortals. He did not use Year Beast Summoning, because Soul Beast Summoning was more outstanding. The ancient soul beasts were controlled by Fang Yuan. They were very obedient, but they were suppressed by the immortal battlefield. They felt uncomfortable. This Wisdom Path Battlefield Killer move would be more powerful if Fang Yuan used Wisdom Path Immortal GU or Killer moves. However, the other sects would be restricted and suppressed, unlike the Sovereign Immortal Physique. After this, I might be able to modify a Soul Path Battlefield Killer move. It will complement Soul Beast summoning. Fang Yuan thought. Wisdom Path Battlefield Killer moves were more useful in concealing one's tracks and defending against deductions. This was the advantage of a path, thus, Fang Yuan deduced the Wisdom Path Battlefield Killer move first. The ancient soul beasts were extremely fierce. They pounced forward and fought with the two female immortals. Under Fang Yuan's control, they attacked Yu Chan and Qin Bai He regardless of the fish monster. They made the two girls suffer greatly. In the intense battle, Yu Chan's heart sank. Fang Yuan has not even made a move yet. We are already running for our lives. We are surrounded by danger. If he suddenly attacks, we will be doomed. Fang Yuan was still far away, watching the two girls fight intensely. Chapter 1496. Under Fang Yuan's fierce attacks, after more than 10 breaths of time, Yu Chan got more and more tired. She could not hold on for much longer. Sigh. Qin Bai He let out a long sigh. She stopped using the immortal killer move Fragrant Flower Cryptic Language. Fang Yuan did not deceive her. Fragrant Flower Cryptic Language was indeed useless. After Qin Bai He tested it, she entered the battle with a heavy heart. She was a Wood Path GU immortal. She used killer moves one after another. Flower petals rained down. Flower petals rained down. Some of the moves could erode one's strength, while others could be as sharp as blades. Qin Bai He's clothes fluttered in the wind. Her black hair and long skirt made her look like she was dancing even in battle. Her figure was alluring and beautiful. On the other side, Yu Chan was shouting. She had a heroic aura. These two girls were indeed famous fairies in Eastern Sea's GU immortal world. They were beautiful and eye-catching. They were like pearls and diamonds. They shined together. If ordinary GU immortals saw them, they would feel their hearts go soft before they even attacked. Why would they bother with them? There was no need to talk about destroying a flower. Unfortunately, the two girls were facing Fang Yuan. Immortal Killer Move Ancient Sword Dragon Transformation. Immortal Killer Move Reverse Flow Protection Seal. Roar. The sword dragon roared. It suddenly appeared and charged at the two girls without stopping. Oh no! Yu Chan cried out in shock. Qin Bai He's heart jumped to her throat. She gritted her teeth. Evil scoundrel, take this. As she spoke, the petals around her flew rapidly. In the blink of an eye, they formed a petal tornado that attacked and defended against the ancient sword serpent. Yu Chan also reacted and shouted, "I'll lend you a hand." Saying so, she used a water path killer move, creating a huge wave of water. The waves entered the petal tornado, and in the blink of an eye, they were all absorbed into it. With a whoosh, the petal tornado expanded several times, and its power increased sharply. What a great move, water from wood. Qin Bai He praised. Her confidence rose by a level. The flower petal tornado collided with the ancient sword dragon. The stalemate lasted for only an instant before the ancient sword dragon was destroyed by the flower petal tornado. Such a good effect didn't make the two fairies happy. Instead, they revealed a horrified expression. Oh no, this ancient sword dragon is fake. Just as Qin Bai He thought of this, a huge silver dragon silently appeared behind her. Time seemed to slow down at this moment. Qin Bai He turned her head inch by inch with great difficulty. From the corner of her eyes, she saw that Fang Yuan had transformed into the ancient sword serpent. It had opened its bloody mouth and covered her tiny body. Those jagged sharp dragon teeth flickered with cold light. They were like battle spears. Just looking at them caused Qin Bai He to tremble with fear. Fang Yuan, you have rank 8 battle strength, a famous expert. You actually launched a sneak attack. On the other side, Yu Chan screamed in shock and anger. Fang Yuan had such a huge advantage, but he still carried out a sneak attack. He was simply shameless and didn't have the demeanor of an expert at all. He was shameless to the extreme. Seeing that Qin Bai He was about to fall into the dragon's mouth, Yu Chan unleashed an unprecedented ferocious attack. An intense rain fell. Each droplet elongated as they shot towards Fang Yuan like countless arrows. Fang Yuan sneered internally. He ignored everything and bit down. Crack. Because he used too much strength, his upper and lower teeth collided with each other, producing a dull sound. No. Yu Chan screamed in shock. Almost at the same time, her powerful rain was rebounded by the countercurrent protection seal and returned to her. Yu Chan hurriedly blocked. She was flustered. At this moment, she deeply felt how weak she was. How can I fight this? He's using the reverse flow river to defend himself. Any of my attacks will be reflected back at him. How shameless. Yu Chan felt like she had fallen into an ice cave. However, when Fang Yuan opened his mouth, there was no flesh or bone, only some flower petals fell between his teeth. On the other side, a body suddenly grew out of the huge flower petals in the air. The body quickly came out of the flower petals. It was the naked Qin Bai He. At the crucial moment, she used a life-saving killer move, causing Fang Yuan's attack to fail. Qin Bai He's true body temporarily escaped from Fang Yuan's demonic claws. Bai He. Yu Chan was overjoyed. Qin Bai He's face was pale, her lips were trembling. She had escaped from the gates of hell. The situation earlier was extremely dangerous. If she had been slightly slower, she would have died on the spot. The surrounding flower petals flew over and stuck to Qin Bai He's body, turning into a beautiful dress in the blink of an eye. Yu Chan quickly flew over and met up with her. The two women's vigilant gazes were firmly fixed on Fang Yuan. From the depths of their gazes, their panic and fear could be seen. Although the ancient sword serpent missed its first attack, it didn't continue its pursuit. Instead, it scanned the surroundings with its sharp eyes. I understand, so that's how it is. Suddenly, the ancient sword dragon spoke. Fang Yuan's voice resounded in the two girls' ears. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Countless purple stars shot down once again, instantly destroying all the petals on the battlefield. Qin Bai He's body shook intensely. Fang Yuan's actions left her with no way out. She could not use that life-saving method again. The ancient sword dragon roared as it pounced again. The two fairies had pale expressions. They bit their lips as they fought. This was a moment of life and death. The two fairies did not dare to hold back. They used their trump cards. Boom boom boom. The attacks were intense. They were dazzling and bright, like colorful fireworks. The ancient sword dragon moved within the fireworks, moving freely. Reverse flow protection seal reflected all attacks. It was untouchable by all method. Injuries appeared on the two women's bodies, and the speed at which their injuries worsened was extremely fast. However, Fang Yuan could not take their lives in a short period of time. These two fairies were rank 7 GU immortals. They had many life-saving methods. They had deep foundations and were famous for a long time. They were not simple. Fang Yuan, stop attacking. We surrender. We admit your strength. We swear that we will not get involved in the dragonfish business from now on. Please let us go. After a while of intense fighting, the two girls were covered in blood. They breathed roughly as they begged for mercy. For the two of them, there was no hope of winning this battle. From start to finish, Fang Yuan had the upper hand. Even though the two girls resisted, they could not hold on for long. We can give you all sorts of resources, a lot of wealth, as long as you let us go. That's right, if we fight to the death, we will detonate our immortal GU before we die. You will not get anything. We should not have been enemies with you. You can have these dragonfish. We have learned our lesson. If we see you in the future, we will avoid you. Furthermore, we swear that after this battle, we will never be enemies with you. We will not take revenge. The two girls spoke. They were already in agreement. As expected of an elite, you understand the situation. The ancient sword dragon stopped attacking. It floated gracefully in the air. Fang Yuan's cold dragon pupils reflected the beautiful figures of the two girls. He continued, then hand over one of your immortal GU to show your sincerity. The two girls' hearts tightened. They looked at each other, feeling that Fang Yuan was a troublesome person to deal with. Once they lost their immortal GU, their battle strength would fall sharply. But if they did not hand over their immortal GU, their lives would still be in danger. After hesitating for a moment, Yu Chan said, we agree to this condition, but to prevent any accidents, we need to set an agreement of mutual non-harm. We will use information path methods to restrict each other. Then let's do it. Fang Yuan nodded. However, they encountered obstacles in the subsequent negotiations on the specific content. Qin Baihe and Yu Chan emphasized that if Fang Yuan went against the agreement, he would be punished with death. This was a condition that Fang Yuan could not accept. Fang Yuan had a scheme brewing in his mind. He had the self-cleansing immortal formation. He wanted to use it to get rid of the unfavorable agreement on him. But this method was not controlled by Fang Yuan, it was not flexible, he needed some time to get rid of the unfavorable Dao marks. If he died immediately, the self-cleansing immortal formation would be useless. Fang Yuan did not want to let these two GU immortals go. Once he let them go, it would be hard to use the same method to ambush them in the future. Furthermore, the Celestial Court might remove the agreement for them, that would be even more troublesome. In terms of the dragonfish business, Fang Yuan would have a strong enemy. The two sides did not come to an agreement. The two girls also realized Fang Yuan's true intentions. Fang Yuan, it seems that you are determined to kill us. Even if we die, we will not let you gain anything from this. Sorrow filled their hearts. The two girls fought to the death. Fang Yuan smiled coldly, his killing intent intensified. After a few rounds of fighting, he finally found a chance to attack, tearing half of Qin Baihe's body apart. The left side of Qin Baihe's body was torn apart, her organs and broken ribs were exposed. Baihe, I will help you. Yu Chan was worried, she came to help, but did not know that Fang Yuan's true target was her. Yu Chan was caught unprepared, she was bitten by the ancient sword dragon. Gucci. Thick blood seeped out from the gaps between the teeth. Crack, crack. Fang Yuan chewed a few times. The beautiful Yu Chan had completely turned into a pile of meat and bones, she had died. Ah, Chan Qin Baihe saw that her lover was killed, she screamed in pain, her eyes were red as tears flowed down. Fang Yuan, you murderer, I will fight you to the death. Qin Baihe stopped dodging, she charged at Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan smiled coldly, using an immortal killer move purple thought perception starlight to break Qin Baihe's defense. Next, he opened his mouth and breathed out a dazzling sword light dragon breath. After the dragon breath passed by, Qin Baihe's entire body was blasted into nothingness, only her head was left. Her eyes were wide open in anger, her beautiful face was still there, just that it was more or less distorted, stained with bright red blood. Fang Yuan flew over slowly, he stretched out his dragon claw and flicked. Slap. Like a watermelon falling to the ground, the dragon claw pierced Qin Baihe's head, blood and brain matter splattered everywhere. Chapter 1497. With a flash of light, the ancient sword dragon turned back into human form. Yu Chan and Qin Baihe were dead. From now on, Eastern Sea's GU immortal world only had 4 fairies left. Fang Yuan's expression did not change as he targeted 2 areas and used immortal methods. Soon, 2 immortal apertures were taken out and sealed by him. Fang Yuan inherited Shadow Sect's inheritance, which included blazing heaven demoness aperture taking method, as well as many other killer moves. They were all effective on immortal apertures. Before coming to Eastern Sea, Fang Yuan had successfully deduced that he had a method to seal immortal apertures and bring them along with him. Thus, Fang Yuan was not in a hurry to do anything to these 2 immortal apertures. He stored the immortal battlefield killer move purple Imperial Break Life, before summoning Ying Wuxie, by Ningbing, and the rest. To ensure that nothing went wrong, Fang Yuan kept the Shadow Sect members in his sovereign immortal aperture and brought them to Eastern Sea. Ancient Battle Formation Omnidirectional Travel. This killer move had flaws, its effect was not outstanding, but now, Fang Yuan had modified and repaired it. Thus, once it was activated, it immediately brought Fang Yuan and the other 3 immortals out of Dragonfish Sea area, directly arriving at White Crane Sea area. White Crane Sea area was calm and peaceful. Cool winds blew, the blue sky and white clouds covered the sky. Between the sea and the sky, countless white cranes were either flying or stretching their bodies gracefully, resting on small islands. Fang Yuan did not stop, he flew towards the depths of the sea. As for the other Shadow Sect GU immortals, they followed Fang Yuan's instructions and started to collect the surrounding white cranes. Fang Yuan went to the bottom of the sea. His gaze was sharp as he quickly found an immortal Gu house. It turned out that he gave up on Dragonfish Sea area and went to White Crane Sea area immediately. It was because of Qin by his rank 6 immortal Gu house, by He Palace. When Qin by He left, she did not bring this immortal Gu house with her. On one hand, it was because there had been peace for too long, she was too careless. On the other hand, she wanted to leave the immortal Gu house behind to suppress White Crane Sea area and guard against any unexpected situations. Fang Yuan got close to Bai He Palace. The Lily Palace opened its doors and actually took the initiative to welcome Fang Yuan inside. As it turned out, Fang Yuan had already turned into Qin by his appearance. Familiar face was extremely effective. The one guarding the immortal Gu house in place of Qin by He was only a lump of her will. Fang Yuan smoothly entered the Lily Palace and received Qin by his will. Qin by his will did not suspect anything. After entering Fang Yuan's mind, she immediately realized that something was wrong. However, Fang Yuan was prepared for this. Using his mind as a battlefield, he quickly imprisoned this will. Then, he began to borrow this will to fight for this Lily Palace. Even with Fang Yuan's Wisdom Path Immortal Gu and Wisdom Path methods, he spent a day and a night before successfully taking Bai He Palace. At this point, Fang Yuan finally had an immortal Gu house. But this Bai He Palace is not complete, it is incomplete and has low power. It only has 2 rank 6 immortal Gu as the cause. It was created by Qin Bai He to house her concubines. Bai He Palace was not reliable, it was very fragile. Compared to He tribe's immortal Gu house Dark Prison, it was far inferior. After Fang Yuan took control of it, he saw its internal structure and memorized its usage profundities. He dismantled it and obtained a large number of Gu worms. 2 rank 6 immortal Gu, one was Wood Path while the other was Food Path. It was called Eat Fragrant. This was out of Fang Yuan's expectations. Yu Chan and Qin by his Gu worms, not mentioning immortal Gu, even if they were mortal Gu, they would not be given to Fang Yuan. Thus, these Gu worms that made up Bai He Palace were all of Fang Yuan's gains in terms of Gu worms. Eat Fragrant Immortal Gu was shaped like a wooden box. It was small, about the size of an adult's index finger. It had little use. It could only help Gu immortals eat fragrant food and fill their stomachs. But in this world, there are no useless Gu worms, only useless Gu masters. Fang Yuan had a food path inheritance. He thought of many ways to use Eat Fragrant Immortal Gu. Even though this immortal Gu had little use when used alone, if it cooperated with other Gu worms, its effect was definitely worth looking forward to. Currently, Fang Yuan only had one food path immortal Gu. It was called Snack. This time, he had Eat Fragrant. It made up for the lack of food path immortal Gu to a large extent. This was a pleasant surprise to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan dismantled Bai He Palace and killed all the concubines and beauties inside, only leaving their souls behind. After returning to White Crane Sea area, the Shadow Sect Immortals were still making use of their time to search for resources in the sea area. White cranes moved in groups. There were a lot of them. There were thousands of ordinary white cranes, 21 desolate beast cranes, and 4 ancient white cranes. After spending a lot of effort, Fang Yuan and the rest not only gathered these white cranes, they also searched for other resources in the sea area. There were 2 main types of resources in the sea. One was Great History Iron, a rank 7 immortal material formed from Metal Path and Wisdom Path Dao marks. The other was Egg Crystal Stones. These were the life essence left behind by Eggmen. There were a lot of Egg Crystal Stones. It could be seen that White Crane Sea area was the habitat of a large group of Eggmen a long time ago. After keeping these, Fang Yuan used omnidirectional travel to return to Dragonfish Sea area. There were still a large number of dragonfish in the Dragonfish Sea area. The scale was much larger than what Fang Yuan had previously. Fang Yuan kept all of them in his immortal aperture. This windfall caused his dragonfish population to increase by dozens of times. Yu Chan was indeed the #1 dragonfish business giant. Her foundation in this aspect was extremely deep. Even Fang Yuan was secretly shocked. After emptying the Dragonfish Sea area, Fang Yuan looked at the sky. There was still no one attacking. Celestial Court has not made a move yet. To think that I was purposely stalling for time in the battle to lure out Celestial Court's reinforcements. Fang Yuan let out a breath of air, his gaze was cold. He had made ample preparations, even if he faced a rank 8 GU immortal, he was not afraid. Celestial Court could guess Fang Yuan's identity, they were helping Yu Chan to obstruct Fang Yuan. Similarly, Fang Yuan could deduce that Celestial Court was adding fuel to the fire. Fang Yuan suddenly came here. It was a sneak attack on Yu Chan and Qin Bai He, it was also a probe towards Heavenly Court. But after this probe, Celestial Court did not make a move. This result made Fang Yuan feel slightly surprised. The Heavenly Court actually didn't send anyone over? Is it because Fairy Myrtle did not expect it, or did they not react in time? Or maybe Celestial Court does not have enough manpower. Fang Yuan's gaze flickered, he was a crafty person, he immediately guessed the predicament Celestial Court was in. Celestial Court did not have enough manpower. Fang Yuan had already vaguely sensed this when he was escaping in Western Desert. This time, he was even more certain. Since Celestial Court's GU immortals did not come, Fang Yuan would not wait foolishly. After using omnidirectional travel to leave Dragonfish Sea area, he went to a nameless sea area in Eastern Sea and planted Yu Chan and Qin by his immortal apertures. A rank 7 water path immortal aperture, and a rank 7 wood path immortal aperture. While the immortal apertures turned into blessed lands, Fang Yuan entered them separately. In Yu Chan blessed land, the land spirit's condition was to kill Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan was very crafty, he changed his appearance and entered with a fake identity. Immortal killer move, bloodlight spirit suppression. Yu Chan's land spirit was suppressed by Fang Yuan, the water path immortal aperture was quickly annexed by Fang Yuan. But in Bai He blessed land, the land spirit's condition was related to Bai He Palace. Fang Yuan did not care about this, he used bloodlight spirit suppression again to suppress the land spirit. But he did not have the qualifications to annex the wood path blessed land, he could only leave it here. After all, after closing the entrance, the outside world would not be able to detect this blessed land, it was safe. As Fang Yuan expected, not only were there no GU worms in the 2 immortal aperture blessed lands, even the cultivation resources that they used were completely destroyed. Yu Chan and Qin Bai He hated this murderer, Fang Yuan, they did not want to leave anything for him. Thankfully, the winds of assimilation were not something that anyone could casually create. After doing all this, Fang Yuan did not want to stay in Eastern Sea for long, he left immediately. He had committed a murder, killing Yu Chan and Qin Bai He also plundered the 2 sea areas, he would soon be exposed and cause a huge commotion in Eastern Sea's GU immortal world. This was not an exaggeration. No matter if it was Yu Chan or Qin Bai He, they both had widespread influence. Adding on the fact that the GU immortal world had been peaceful for a long time, with this huge incident and the deaths of 2 rank 7 experts, it would definitely cause a certain degree of panic, everyone in Eastern Sea's GU immortal world would feel threatened. There would also be a large number of GU immortals, regardless of their motives, be it to take revenge for Yu Chan and Qin Bai He, to uphold justice, to covet their inheritance, or to establish their own reputation, a large number of GU immortals would come to investigate Fang Yuan. Even if the situation was dire, they wouldn't be able to escape. Fang Yuan had rank 8 battle strength, even though he was not afraid, he did not want to get himself into trouble. Chapter 1498. Several days later. A GU immortal flew over White Crane Sea area. This GU immortal wore a green robe, he looked like a young man, he had a tall nose and a wide face, his eyes were bright like stars. Rank 7 aura emanated from his body, he had a great background, his name was Qingyu Cheng, he was a GU immortal of Eastern Sea's Superforce Qingyu clan, he was also the direct descendant of the current Qingyu First Supreme Elder, Qingyu, and this is? Seeing the desolate state of White Crane Sea area, Qingyu Cheng's expression sank. He had a crush on Qin Bai He, even though he knew she liked women, he could accept it. But while he could accept Qin Bai He, she did not accept him. Qingyu Cheng was rejected all the time, but he did not give up, he had been persevering for the last 10 years. Even though Qin Bai He disliked him, she did not want to become enemies with Qingyu clan, towards Qing Yuji Cheng's letters, she would reply them half-heartedly. Qing Yuji Cheng would write a love letter every once in a while, but Qin by his letters would only have 2 words, read or acceptable. Qing Yuji Cheng was very satisfied with the 2 words read. If he got acceptable, he would be smiling for the next few days. Humans were not plants, they were emotionless. Even GU immortals had situations where they fell in love with someone. But recently, when Qing Yuji Cheng sent a love letter, he did not get a response. Qing Yuji Cheng tried to contact her but failed. He had a bad premonition, he could not hold it in anymore. He moved out and went to White Crane Sea area personally. When he arrived, he saw the desolate scene of White Crane Sea area. Qing Yuji Cheng frowned deeply. In the past, White Crane Sea area was peaceful. Countless white cranes were flying or resting, it was full of vitality. But now, this place was plundered by Fang Yuan and the other Shadow Sect GU immortals. It was completely desolate. Fairy Bai He, where are you? Qing Yuji Cheng felt an intense uneasiness. With a plop, he dove into the sea. He had been to White Crane Sea area many times. Even though Qin Bai He did not like him, Qing Yuji Cheng found many reasons. This time, Qing Yuji Cheng's impression of the seabed had undergone a huge change. Looking at the huge ravine, as well as the countless holes and scattered rocks, Qing Yuji Cheng's heart sank. Not good, from the looks of it, this place has been robbed. After checking for a while, Qing Yuji Cheng's face was filled with anger. How dare they? Who dares to rob Fairy Lily's sea territory? The Taisha iron and egg crystal stones here have all been plundered. This person must be arrogant. Fairy Lily, you must be all right. Qing Yuji Cheng thought of the person he missed and immediately became afraid. He searched around but could not find that rank 6 immortal GU house by He Palace. Qing Yuji Cheng was unwilling to give up. He used his investigative methods to search the surrounding waters again. There were no results. Qin Bai He seemed to have completely disappeared. The Lily Palace was also nowhere to be seen. What made Qing Yuji Cheng even more puzzled was that there were no traces of a battle taking place here. Fang Yuan did not end Qin Bai He and Yu Chan's lives here, he did it in Dragonfish Sea area. But even if Qing Yuji Cheng found Dragonfish Sea area, he would not be able to find any traces. Fang Yuan's methods to erase traces were extremely profound, they were not just for show. Furthermore, the entire battle took place in the battlefield Killer Move Purple Star Life Destruction. Qing Yuji Cheng could not find anything, he started to feel suspicious. Fairy Lily is an expert among rank 7 GU immortals, it is not possible for someone to kill her stealthily. Unless it is a rank 8 GU immortal. Rank 8 GU immortals usually suppress one side, they restrict each other, a slight move can cause a chain reaction. How could they kill Fairy Bai He for no reason? Hee. Thinking of this, Qing Yuji Cheng let go of some of his worries. But soon, his expression tightened. Don't tell me, Fairy Lily is tired of me and decided to move her territory, taking away all the resources? Qing Yuji Cheng thought about it and felt that it was unlikely. White Crane Sea area was a huge resource producer. How could Qin Bai He give it up so easily? Even if she found a better sea area, she would not give it up for no reason. Don't tell me, she met a strong enemy that she could not match. With such a strong enemy here, she had no choice but to abandon her territory and retreat. Qing Yuji Cheng had another thought. But soon, he shook his head. If she met a strong enemy, how could Fairy Lily not ask for help? With her network, as long as she says a word, a large number of GU immortals would come to help. What is going on? Why did Fairy Lily suddenly disappear so mysteriously? Qing Yuji Cheng's brows were tightly knitted. He did not think of the possibility that Qin Bai He was dead. Firstly, he did not want to think about it, and secondly, this possibility was quite unimaginable. After all, Qin Bai He was an influential person among Eastern Sea GU immortals. She was famous in Eastern Sea, she was also not weak, she had rank 7 cultivation level. Who could easily kill such a person? Like Qing Yuji Cheng had deduced, unless a rank 8 GU immortal attacked. But this possibility was even smaller. The 5 regions had been peaceful for a long time. Qing Yuji Cheng subconsciously did not think that such a cruel murder would happen, especially when it happened to his beloved fairy. But after some investigation, Qing Yuji Cheng confirmed something. No matter what happened, Fairy Lily is definitely in trouble. I need to find her and do my best to help her. At once, the thought of saving the damsel in distress filled Qing Yuji Cheng's mind, burning his heart. If there are no clues here, I will find the nearby GU immortals and ask them. In Qing Yuji Cheng's mind, the name Yu Chan appeared. Yu Chan's Dragonfish Sea area was famous. In terms of distance, Yu Chan was the closest GU immortal to Qin Bai He. They could be said to be neighbors. Qing Yuji Cheng acted quickly. He immediately left White Crane Sea area. After some effort, he arrived at Dragonfish Sea area. Dragonfish Sea area was even more pitiful than White Crane Sea area. There had once been millions of dragonfish here. It was one of Eastern Sea's grand sceneries. But now, Qing Yuji Cheng saw nothing. Sea winds blew past his ears. The seawater formed white waves that undulated continuously. How can this be? Even Dragonfish Sea area was plundered. Qing Yuji Cheng was tongue-tied. He showed shock in his eyes. Qin Bai He's White Crane Sea area was like this. Yu Chan's Dragonfish Sea area was also like this. What caused this? After all, be it Yu Chan or Qin Bai He, they were both experts among rank 7s, their battle strength was not weak at all. This time, Qing Yuji Cheng not only felt bewilderment, he also felt a trace of fear. He raised his guard, diving into the sea to investigate, but to his dismay, he found nothing. How can this be? What in the world happened? Not only Fairy Lily, but even Fairy Yu Chan had the same experience. Wait, dragonfish business, jewel yellow skies. Qing Yuji Cheng's body shook. He quickly communicated with jewel yellow skies. Yu Chan's dragonfish business was famous in the 5 regions. She had definitely left behind a will in jewel yellow skies to manage the dragonfish business. Qing Yuji Cheng's consciousness entered jewel yellow skies. He soon successfully contacted Yu Chan's will. Once they communicated, Qing Yuji Cheng found that Yu Chan's will did not know what had happened. Yu Chan and her will have communicated quite frequently. The interval between each communication was less than 3 days. That is to say, within these 3 days, she and Fairy Lily both met with a mysterious incident. Cold sweat dripped down Qing Yuji Cheng's forehead. The more he investigated, the more he discovered the truth. It was quite mysterious and terrifying. Be it Yu Chan or Qin Bai He, they would not be so senseless as to plunder all the resources and run away. This was all on the surface. They had met with an irresistible threat. An intense sense of worry shrouded Qing Yuji Cheng's heart. No, I need to return home and ask the GU immortals in my clan for help. Qing Yuji Cheng felt his scalp turning numb as he stayed in the empty Dragonfish Sea area. He did not dare to stay for long. He immediately turned back. The murder of Qin Bai He and Yu Chan had already happened. Even though they had not found out the truth of the 2 fairies' deaths, with Qingyu clan's immense strength, they would soon find out a portion of the truth. As for the perpetrator of this crime, he remained at large, riding a cloud through the skies of the Western Desert. After Fang Yuan left Eastern Sea, he did not go to Northern Plains. He went through southern border and arrived at Western Desert again. On the auspicious cloud, Fang Yuan's consciousness entered the sovereign immortal aperture, inspecting his gains in Eastern Sea. After killing Yu Chan and Qin Bai He, Fang Yuan's gains were huge. A vast number of dragonfish had already surpassed Dragon Scale Sea area. They could be seen everywhere in mini Eastern Sea. Great history iron and egg crystal stones were also in great quantities. There were also 2 rank 6 immortal GU. Fang Yuan had already made arrangements on how to feed them. Qin Bai He's wood path immortal aperture was placed in Eastern Sea by Fang Yuan. He could not annex it or carry it with him for a long time. As for Yu Chan's water path immortal aperture, it was completely devoured by Fang Yuan. He gained a huge sea area and a large number of water path Dalmark. However, these gains were nothing compared to City Wells. Indeed, City Well, one of the secluded domains of heaven and earth, was already in Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture. Fang Yuan arrived in Eastern Sea. He first went to the turbulent flow sea area. He moved the City Well that he had left there into his sovereign immortal aperture. Next, he went to Dragonfish Sea area and brutally killed Yu Chan and Qin Bai He. Secluded domain of heaven and earth, City Well. Fang Yuan had been worried about this city well for a long time. But earlier, when Fang Yuan used pulling mountain immortal GU, the effect was minimal. He could not put city well into his immortal aperture. But this time, Fang Yuan used the light of wisdom to create an immortal killer move, using pulling mountain immortal GU as the core to target city well. After much effort, he finally got what he wanted. Chapter 1499. This well was squarish on the outside, it was squarish on all sides. The inside of the well was round, perfectly round. Squarish on the outside, round on the inside. City well. Fang Yuan thought about it for a long time. He placed city well in mini central continent. After Danghun Mountain, Luo Po Valley, and Reverse Flow River, this was the fourth secluded domain of heaven and earth that Fang Yuan obtained. Since ancient times, the number of GU immortals who could obtain 4 secluded domains of heaven and earth could be counted on one hand. City well was recorded in the legends of Ren Zhu. It was once the territory of Miniman. Right now, the small town in City Well was destroyed by Fang Yuan. Minuscule mountain that was inside City Well was also separated from City Well. It was destroyed in northern plains. However, the City Well that Fang Yuan obtained was not empty. There were a large number of blessed lands in it. The owners of these immortal apertures were killed by Fang Yuan using City Well. They died with regrets. During the process of immortal apertures forming blessed lands, they needed to absorb large amounts of heaven and earth chi from the outside world. They needed to open their immortal aperture entrances to communicate with the outside world. Fang Yuan had already used this chance to explore these blessed lands. Without a land spirit, he had already plundered all the blessed lands that could be plundered. The remaining blessed lands still had a large amount of cultivation resources. Fang Yuan did not use force back then. Now that I have Bloodlight Spirit Suppression Killer move, I can suppress these land spirits, but without the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle, I cannot enter. Right now, these immortal apertures had their entrances shut. Fang Yuan could not enter them. If I annex all these immortal apertures and take all the resources, my Dao marks will increase by a lot. The development of my immortal aperture will also increase. This was a huge piece of meat. Fang Yuan could not eat it yet. But it was already in his bowl. There was little chance of it being taken away. Fang Yuan was not worried. Other than these blessed lands, City Well's huge value cannot be ignored. With City Well, Fang Yuan could directly raise variant humans, or even pure humans. This was a very good thing. In the GU Immortal world, the management of the immortal aperture was divided into 7 levels. First layer, construct mortal resources, produce mortal GU and mortal GU materials. The second layer was to construct immortal resources to produce immortal materials that could feed immortal GU. The third level was to raise immortal beasts and immortal plants, forming a cycle of life. The fourth level was to use the produced immortal materials to trade with each other and earn profits. At the fifth layer, the immortal aperture could produce immortal GU naturally. The sixth layer raised variant humans and humans to produce GU immortals. The seventh layer produced lifespan GU. These 7 levels, progressing one by one, were the summary of the experiences of the GU immortal world since ancient times. Up until now, it had already become one of the golden rules of GU immortal cultivation. It was not that GU immortals could not raise variant humans or humans when they started developing their immortal aperture, but if they forcefully did so, the results would be minuscule. They might even waste their own foundation. These 7 levels were progressing step by step. It was the result of countless generations of elites in the GU immortal world. If he followed these steps, his immortal aperture would be very stable and healthy. Fang Yuan was currently at the 3rd and 4th layer. He was still far from the 5th layer. But now that he had City Well, he could directly skip the 5th layer and proceed to the 6th layer. City Well could help GU immortals skip levels. It was very convenient to raise variant humans or even humans. What were the benefits of raising variant humans or humans? There were too many benefits. Every variant human race had their own unique resources. For example, the Snowman tribe's Ice Tear and Snow Lotus Essence, Rockman tribe's Rock Dragon, Featherman tribe's Freedom GU, and so on. If these resources were to be used as industries, they would have huge profits in the current market. Other than these unique resources, there was another common resource. That was human chi. Heaven chi, earth chi, human chi. The balance of the three chi was crucial for Gu immortal ascension. During the process of immortal ascension, the more human chi there was, the deeper the foundation of the Gu master, the better the quality of the immortal aperture. After becoming a Gu immortal, human chi was much less useful. Gu immortals needed heaven and earth chi to replenish their immortal aperture every once in a while, to stabilize their immortal aperture. But human chi was not useless. In fact, it was the opposite. Human chi was very important to Gu immortals, but the method to use human chi was lost long ago. Chi path appeared much earlier than strength path. It had flourished for a period of time, but now it had withered. Right now, human chi was a Gu material that had many uses. Especially some chi path Gu immortals, they had rare methods to use human chi. But now, these chi path Gu immortals were even rarer. Regardless of whether it was raising mutants or humans, they could accumulate human chi. The more variant humans and humans there were, the more elites there were, and the more human chi there would be. Of course, under the same situation, a variant human's human chi would be lower than a pure human's. Other than human chi, there were also many high-grade immortal materials that would be produced by variant humans and humans. For example, door wind. This was a rank 7 immortal material that did not grow in deep mountains or forests, or in the sky of great swamps, but on the doors of mortals. Whenever such an immortal material was produced, the mortals' doors could not close, they could only open and close continuously. Such a special immortal material could not be found in nature without any human presence. And in Shadow Sect's inheritances, there is another saying. The more human chi one accumulates, the more they can comprehend the profundities of human path. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan's eyes shined with brilliance. Human path. This was a path created by Renzu. Throughout history, some rank 8 great experts and even rank 9 venerables would comprehend the legends of Renzu in their lives. They would more or less comprehend the profundities of human path. For example, Giant Sun Immortal had some insights from the legends of Renzu. He created all living beings' luck and heaven and earth luck. Another example was Southern Border's Chai clan's ancestor, Chai Fu. He comprehended a human path killer move from the legends of Renzu in his later years, establishing Chai clan's foundation as a superforce. There were many such examples. I will not mention them one by one. In my situation, if I directly raise humans and variant humans, it would only destroy the environment of my immortal aperture. I would have to work hard and expend my foundation. But with City Well, I can raise them here and isolate them. They will not interfere with my immortal aperture development. And raising variant humans and humans in City Well has a special environment. I can get twice the result with half the effort. Forget about humans, they have high intelligence and expend a lot of resources. Right now, I should choose one of the variant humans and raise them. In the Gu world, there were 10 great variant human races. They were Hairy Man, Rockman, Snowman, Featherman, Merman, Inkman, Eggman, Beastman, Miniman, and Mushroom Man. Each of them had their own special advantages. Which one should I choose? Fang Yuan had not decided yet. There was only one City Well, it was best to only choose one variant human to raise. Because there was a huge difference in the living habits of each variant human race. Taking care of them at the same time would only cause him to lose sight of them. Let's exclude beastmen first, they are already extinct. Hairy men. I do need hairy men to help me refine GU. Rockmen. I raised a batch of rockmen before, and I have guts GU, it is very helpful for raising rockmen. Snowman is also good, I am the son-in-law of the Snowman tribe now, I have their support. As for Miniman, they are very suitable for City Well. I need Miniman to help me grow immortal plants when I manage my immortal aperture. There are also Featherman, Merman, Inkman, Eggman, Mushroom Man. If I choose any of them, there will be huge benefits. Fang Yuan thought deeply along the way. Even when he reached his destination, he had not come to a conclusion. This problem was not urgent. Because even if Fang Yuan thought it through, he did not have the funds to carry out this plan. The amount of immortal essence stones he had on hand was rather low. But fortunately, he had a lot of red date immortal essence, even though he had fought with Yu Chan and Qin Bai He not long ago. This was because after the sovereign immortal aperture's time flow returned to normal, Fang Yuan had even used time path methods to raise it. Originally, it was 1 to 60 in the outside world, but now, it was even higher. Thus, Fang Yuan's efficiency in accumulating red date immortal essence rose by a large margin. In this trip to Eastern Sea, I obtained City Well and even killed Yu Chan. In terms of dragonfish business, I am unrivaled. It is almost certain that I will be making huge profits every day. As long as I continue to sell dragonfish, the problem of funds will be solved soon. The important thing now is thieving Heaven's dream realm, Fang Yuan thought as he descended the cloud, landing on the desert. A Gu immortal was already standing on the scorching sand. He smiled as he cupped his fists at Fang Yuan, saying, "Tang Fang Ming greets Lord Fang Yuan. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,